Asahi is transported to another world without any special powers and struggles to survive. However, everything changes when his sister, Maya, ends up in the same world and reveals her incredible strength that can defeat enemies in just one strike. From then on, Asahi continues his journey with Maya, trying to grow stronger while dealing with both admiration and frustration toward his overly protective sister. That day, the village was in chaos. Everything was on fire, and people were running everywhere, trying to save themselves. The village had been attacked by 3 ogre brothers. A little girl was crying and hiding in fear, while the 3 ogres roamed around, searching for any humans who might still be alive. Suddenly, a young boy appeared before the 3 ogres who were celebrating their victory. He drew his sword and confidently introduced himself as Ekusaba Asahi, the adventurer. The 3 ogres mocked him for daring to challenge them alone. But with a calm yet arrogant tone, Asahi warned them not to attack him, saying that they would regret it if they did. He even told them not to hold a grudge against him afterward. The first ogre grew angry at Asahi's confidence and leaped forward to attack. But before it could reach him, a massive sharp stone suddenly erupted from the ground and impaled the creature. The rock shattered, and then Ikusaba Maya appeared. She pulled the stone out of the ogre's body, leaped into the air, and released a powerful explosion toward the other 2. One of the ogres was instantly destroyed, and the remaining one froze in terror at the sight of Maya standing before it. Back in the real world, Asahi had actually died while saving a young girl from a traffic accident. He realized that his body had moved on instinct to push her out of the way, but he didn't survive. From a distance, he saw the girl safe and sound, which made him feel thankful. At least it was a happy ending. Even in that moment, he found himself thinking about the upcoming release of Armored Core, which he never got to play. He wondered whether the afterlife had video games too. Then his thoughts drifted to his friends and family, especially his older sister Maya. He started to imagine how she would react when she learned he was gone. Just then, a bright light appeared in front of him and began to pull him in. The light transported him to another world, a place that looked just like something out of a role-playing game. Asahi kept walking, amazed by everything around him, until he accidentally bumped into a man. He quickly apologized, and the man kindly told him to be careful. The place looked like medieval Europe, except everyone was speaking Japanese. When Asahi spotted a guild and a skill shop, he suddenly realized what was going on. After dying in the accident, he must have been reincarnated into a game world. Overwhelmed with excitement, Asahi shouted out loud, drawing confused looks from the people nearby. Realizing how strange he must have seemed, he tried to compose himself. He took out his phone, hoping to take a selfie and upload it, but there was no signal anywhere. Without a way to contact anyone and no money to his name, Asahi decided he'd just have to survive on his own. He went to a pawn shop to sell his phone. The shopkeeper was fascinated by the strange item, calling it a rare find, and offered him 500 coins for it. Asahi used the money to buy a sword and some armor. To him, it was simple. If you're broke in a game, you just sell useless items to get what's important. After changing into his new gear, he tested out his sword. With his speed and reflexes, he figured he was best suited to fight on the front line. Feeling ready, he decided to begin his new adventure. He headed to the guild to register for a quest. The guild receptionist, Thanya, greeted him warmly. Asahi told her he wanted to take on his first mission. Excited to help a new adventurer, Thanya asked if he was nervous, then handed him a registration form. After filling in his name, Thanya helped him choose a beginner quest. She recommended hunting a killer rabbit, saying it was one of the easiest tasks available. Without giving it much thought, Asahi accepted. But as soon as he arrived at the location, he found himself facing a massive wyvern instead of a rabbit. The creature roared and unleashed a wave of fire, forcing Asahi to run for his life. He couldn't believe it. The quest difficulty was way too high for a beginner. He started to think maybe the game system was bugged. Dodging blast after blast, he tried to calm himself down and think of a plan. When he checked his status, he saw that his only available skill at level 1 was Throw Rock. Looking further, he was shocked to discover that he was classified as a non-playable character. A blast from the wyvern knocked him off his feet. With no other option left, Asahi grabbed a rock and threw it in desperation, but his throw barely reached the target. The wyvern drew closer, flames burning in its throat. In panic, Asahi shouted for his sister, calling out Maya's name. In an instant, Maya appeared beside him, asking if he had called her. Seeing her brother alive made her smile with relief. The wyvern attacked again, hurling another wave of fire, but Maya's body effortlessly floated into the air, dodging the flames. She could feel something incredible within herself. Her body felt light, her mind clear, and her power immense. She was certain she had the strength to protect her little brother. With a single strike, Maya defeated the enormous wyvern. Asahi stood there, stunned, watching the creature crumble in just one hit. He couldn't believe what he had just seen. Still catching his breath, Asahi asked how Maya managed to come to this world. Maybe it was some kind of illusion, or maybe anything was possible in a world like this. Maya hugged him tightly, saying how much she had missed him. She gently touched his face and held him close, making sure he was really there, that it was truly her younger brother standing before her. Asahi smiled, realizing without a doubt that the woman embracing him was indeed his real sister, the one who always loved and protected him more than anyone else. Maya described the other world as fascinating, and Asahi asked again why she had also come long into it. Maya explained that Asahi's real body was still in a coma at the hospital after the accident. She had been deeply worried because he wouldn't wake up, often murmuring about another world in his sleep, sometimes even smiling happily. That made her form a hypothesis, that Asahi's soul had gone to another world. Because of that, she had tried to follow him there, even if it meant hurting herself to make it happen. Asahi then asked if that meant he was still alive in the real world. Maya reassured him that his consciousness hadn't returned yet, which made Asahi feel relieved knowing that he was still alive. Still, he was puzzled about why Maya was so strong in this world. Maya smiled and said that it was simply the strength of an older sister who deeply loved her little brother. She then shook Asahi's hand warmly. Asahi told her that his time in this world had already served its purpose, and that he wanted them both to return to the real one. Unfortunately, Maya admitted she didn't know how to go back. That made Asahi panic. He couldn't believe Maya had followed him into another world without even knowing the way home. But for Maya, nothing was more important than Asahi's safety. She felt excited and determined to live strongly beside him in that strange new world. Soon after, Maya defeated the third ogre that had destroyed the village, taking it down with overwhelming strength. She couldn't forgive the creature for harming innocent villagers, and even more so because those ogres had mocked Asahi, calling him Shorty. To her, that insult made them deserving of punishment. Maya grew frustrated when she noticed a small cut on Asahi's right cheek. She felt guilty for allowing his smooth skin to get hurt. She offered to heal him with an elixir, though normally such potions were reserved for fighting final bosses. Asahi told her it wasn't necessary, that such a small wound could heal easily. Maya teased him playfully, suggesting that maybe he wanted her to lick it better. Asahi quickly clarified that wasn't what he meant, but Maya seemed amused and didn't take it seriously. The villagers nearby watched the scene between them curiously. The townspeople were grateful that their village was finally safe. A little girl named Anae told everyone that Asahi was the one who defeated all three augurs. The villagers cheered and called Asahi a hero. Asahi was confused as to why Maya's accomplishment was being credited to him, but Maya seemed proud to hear her beloved younger brother being praised. The villagers quickly gathered around Asahi to thank him. Deep down, Asahi knew the real hero was his sister, not him. Later, Thanya congratulated Asahi for his promotion as an adventurer. From the rabbit rank up to the ogre rank, it was considered one of the biggest leaps in rank ever achieved in such a short time. She then handed him the ogre badge. Thanya explained that this badge worked like an identification card issued by the capital, meaning it couldn't be sold or given to others. Asahi assured her he would never do that. After all, it was the first time he had ever been praised so sincerely. Thanya also reminded him that falsifying one's rank was strictly forbidden. Asahi didn't quite understand what she meant by falsifying a rank, so Thanya gave an example. Pretending to be stronger than one actually was, just to get a higher rank, was considered a serious crime, and being caught could have fatal consequences. Thanya reassured him that he didn't need to worry about such things. Asahi laughed, though inwardly he was quite anxious. Afterward, Asahi begged Maya to hide her real strength and make it look like he was the powerful one instead. Maya didn't completely understand why, but she agreed to try. Asahi asked if she could check her status screen or stats, but Maya seemed confused about what he meant. She even thought he was asking about her body measurements. Asahi quickly explained that she just needed to hold out her hand and say status to bring up her panel. But when they tried it, no information appeared on the screen. The display was strange, its color distorted, and Asahi wondered if her power was simply too great for the system to measure. He couldn't help but think how strange it was that his sister, not he himself, had ended up being the strong one in this world. Before they continued, Asahi told Maya to make sure never to show her status to anyone else. It had to remain their secret. Maya agreed, then teasingly added that she was also curious about Asahi's own secret numbers, like how many moles he had on his body. Suddenly, the townspeople began cheering and calling out Siegfried's name. Some of them shouted words of encouragement for the four heroes who were about to face the demon lord. Curious, Asahi asked if those four were famous in that place. Juan, the man Asahi had met earlier at the pawnshop, explained that they were members of the strongest clan in the region called Balmung. He added that this parade was a send-off before they set out to battle the demon lord. That was when Asahi learned that a demon lord actually existed in this world. He thought of it like the final boss in a game. Asahi recalled a theory about reincarnation that said defeating the demon lord might allow someone to return to their original world. Hearing that, Maya confidently declared that she would defeat the demon lord herself, but Asahi doubted it would be that easy. Juan laughed and said that even high-ranked adventurers needed more experience before facing such a powerful enemy. The leader of Balmung, Siegfried the Dragon Hunter, was a Dragon-class adventurer, a rank 2 tiers above Augur class. Asahi was amazed, thinking that one day he wanted to become that strong too. Suddenly, a man named Delin burst into anger, saying that he had always hated Siegfried and calling him an arrogant brat. In his rage, Delin smashed a table in the tavern. The atmosphere turned tense as no one dared to stop him now that Siegfried was gone. Although Delin had been demoted from his previous rank, he was still a former ogre-class adventurer, and aside from Asahi, no one else there had that level of power. People in the tavern recognized Asahi as the young genius who had climbed ranks at an incredible pace. Then, a little girl, the daughter of the tavern owner, ran up to him, pleading for Asahi to avenge her father's restaurant. As soon as the townsfolk heard Asahi's name, they began cheering for him, calling him a hero and chanting his name over and over, begging him to help the girl. Asahi was completely bewildered. He wondered why everyone was relying on him. After all, it would be disastrous if they found out how weak he actually was. Delin sneered and insulted Asahi, calling him short. Maya became furious that someone dared to mock her younger brother, but Asahi quickly tried to calm her down, reminding her that the person in front of them was still a human being. However, Maya declared that she would bombard Delin with spells until he regretted everything he had done. Delin scoffed and challenged them to attack him if they dared. At that moment, Asahi whispered something to Maya, and she nodded, promising to grant whatever request he might have later. Delin grew irritated, feeling mocked as they whispered in front of him. Asahi then taunted Delin, calling him a drunk and saying it was embarrassing that someone like him had been surpassed by a much younger Siegfried. He even asked if Delin had become a coward. His confident teasing enraged Delin even more, pushing him over the edge. Delin charged toward Asahi, but before he could reach him, the ground in front of him suddenly split open. Terrified, Delin fell to his knees, begging for forgiveness before fleeing in panic. The entire crowd erupted in cheers, praising Asahi for his incredible feat. In reality, the plan had worked perfectly, thanks to Maya's discreet magic. Asahi was amazed that it actually succeeded. He had managed to appear strong, drive Delin away, and avoid hurting anyone. He thought to himself that this was the perfect happy ending. But Maya reminded him of something important, his promise. She smiled mischievously and leaned closer, saying that he owed her whatever she wanted. When she seemed ready to kiss him, Asahi panicked and ran away as fast as he could, while Maya kept shouting after him to keep his promise. Asahi had recently been summoned to another world, and at that moment, he was hunting slimes. As a beginner adventurer, he managed to defeat a single slime with one swing of his sword. It might have looked a bit embarrassing, but in the end, he was able to take it down easily and earn a single point. His older sister, Maya, however, was on a completely different level. She wiped out every slime in sight with a single burst of fire. If their strength were compared, Asahi's would be about 1 to Maya's 100,000. Even so, Maya praised Asahi for managing to defeat one slime on his own and rewarded him with a gentle kiss on the cheek. Meanwhile, Balmung was powerless against Kilmeria. Siegfried was stunned. After all, their group had once fought and defeated a dragon. He asked who Kilmeria really was. Kilmeria replied that she was someone far stronger than any dragon. Annoyed, Siegfried lunged forward to strike her, but in an instant, Kilmeria's power overwhelmed him, shattering his sword effortlessly. Bored by how easily every opponent fell to her, Kilmeria began to wonder where she might find a fighter strong enough to entertain her. As Maya walked beside Asahi, she suddenly sneezed. Asahi guessed she might have caught a cold, since she always dressed so lightly. Taking off his vest, he gently draped it over her shoulders, but Maya teasingly asked him to warm her up with his body instead. Without hesitation, she leaped toward him and hugged him tightly. The next morning, Asahi left his room at the inn. He had made up his mind not to keep relying on Maya for everything. He wanted to take on a quest that he could complete by himself. Maya, on the other hand, was overjoyed just to be able to stay by her brother's side, following him even into another world and spending every moment together, from morning till night. She believed Asahi must have felt the same way. Later, Maya noticed how quiet the room next to hers was, the one Asahi was staying in. When she checked, Asahi was nowhere to be found. The only thing left behind was a small note saying that he had stepped out for a bit. Touching his bed, she found it still warm, meaning he hadn't gone far. At first, she thought about where Asahi might have gone, but instead she ended up lying on his bed and breathing in his familiar scent from the blanket. Asahi, meanwhile, had gone to the guild to find a quest suitable for someone at his level as an ogre-class adventurer. Thanya suggested two options: hunting a troll, which was rated difficulty level 15, moderate, or retrieving a wyvern egg, which was difficulty level 18, high. To Asahi, both sounded impossible to handle alone. What he really wanted was a simple quest he could finish quickly, so Maya wouldn't worry and come looking for him. He asked if there were any easier quests available nearby. Thanya explained that those were typically jobs for beginner classes like rabbits or goblins. Asahi decided to take one of those anyway, reminding himself that he was still a novice, and that if the town ever faced danger, he would rush back to help. Hearing that, Thanya praised his attitude and called him admirable. She offered him a simple quest, picking rainbow mushrooms in the Claudio Forest, a level 2 quest meant for beginners. Asahi accepted it, saying that no matter how small a mission might seem, someone still had to do it. He was confident that collecting mushrooms wouldn't require Maya's help. His goal was to complete the quest quickly, earn some experience points, and pay for his stay at the inn. Once he reached Claudio Forest, Asahi easily gathered plenty of rainbow mushrooms. He found it strange that no other adventurers were around, considering how simple the task was. Suddenly, he noticed a sign warning about bears in the area. He figured bears would be rare here, but moments later, a massive bear appeared right in front of him. Asahi ran as fast as he could while the giant bear chased him down. Determined to handle it on his own, without relying on Maya, he threw the mushrooms at the bear, but the creature simply ate them. Just then, a magical explosion struck the bear, blasting it away, and sending Asahi flying through the air until he landed against someone's chest. Judging by the powerful magic and the soft impact, Asahi thought the person who saved him was Maya. Flustered, he quickly apologized for needing her help again, admitting that he just couldn't seem to manage without her. But the person he was holding wasn't Maya, it was Kilmeria. Kilmeria laughed, amused that Asahi had called her his big sister. Realizing his mistake, Asahi quickly stepped back and apologized. Kilmeria told him that being called an older sister didn't sound too bad. In fact, it gave her a strange flutter in her chest. Asahi explained that he had simply mistaken her for someone else and sincerely thanked her for saving him. Suddenly, more bears surrounded them. Panic started to set in, but Kilmeria calmly told him to relax, saying that even though there were many, they were all weak compared to her. As the bears charged, Kilmeria lifted Asahi and tossed him into the air. At that moment, she unleashed her magic, wiping out every single bear in an instant. By the time Asahi landed, Kilmeria caught him effortlessly in her arms. Amazed, Asahi told her she was incredible. Kilmeria smiled and explained that she had been testing her power by hunting bears, and that, as it turned out, Asahi had made a surprisingly good lure. Suddenly, a giant bear-like monster emerged from a crack in the ground, furious after seeing its subordinates defeated by Kilmeria. Asahi was stunned to see the massive bear wearing clothes and speaking in human language. Kilmeria had already guessed that the guardian of the Claudio Forest would appear if she hunted too many of the bears. That guardian was known as the Kaiser Bear. The Kaiser Bear accused Kilmeria of hunting fellow demons just to test her own strength. It called her Kilmeria the Destroyer. Kilmeria simply laughed and took that as a compliment. Asahi, who had only come there to collect mushrooms for his quest, couldn't believe how he had ended up in such a terrifying situation. The Kaiser Bear released its power, and Asahi felt certain that he was about to die. But Kilmeria quickly pulled him close and shielded him. The bear breathed fire toward them, assuming its attack had burned them both. However, Kilmeria had created a barrier strong enough to block the flames. She mocked the Kaiser Bear's fire, calling it weak compared to her own power. Asahi realized Kilmeria had saved him again. Kilmeria said she had to protect her little brother since Asahi had called her big sister. She then unleashed her own flames, an enormous blaze known as Crimson Blaze. The explosion was so powerful that it instantly burned the Kaiser Bear to nothing. Kilmaria had hoped the Great Bear would give her a satisfying fight, but it was defeated in a single blow like all her previous opponents. Feeling bored, she sighed in disappointment. Asahi was shocked by her overwhelming power. He thought Kilmaria's strength might even rival Maya's, or perhaps surpass it. Kilmaria asked if Asahi was hurt, but he said he was fine. Curious, he asked who she really was and whether she was one of the demons people often talked about. Kilmaria told him that she was the leader of the Demon King's army, one of the 6 demon generals known as Kilmaria the Destroyer. Asahi was startled, but Kilmaria assured him that she had no reason to harm the weak. That made Asahi wonder if demons weren't necessarily hostile toward humans after all, especially since Kilmaria had saved him twice already. She laughed and said there was no way a big sister would ever attack her little brother. Then she asked if he knew of an adventurer named Ikusaba Asahi, explaining that his appearance at the guild had been like a comet. His name was well known among adventurers. She said even the 3 Augur brothers and a wyvern had been defeated by him in a single strike. Kilmaria was convinced that Asahi was the hero of this generation and admitted she wanted to fight him someday. Asahi realized she might actually be far more unpredictable than any enemy he had faced before. He decided it was best to quietly slip away, but as he tried to escape, his adventurer badge fell to the ground. Kilmaria picked it up, read his name engraved on it, and immediately took back her earlier remark about him being weak. She said appearances could indeed be deceiving. Meanwhile, Maya suddenly felt a strong sense of unease about Asahi. Asahi ran for his life as Kilmaria chased after him, calling out and asking why he was running away. She told him to fight her instead. Terrified, Asahi was sure that a single hit from her would be the end of him. Kilmaria flew after him, nearly catching him, until a powerful force stopped her in her tracks. At that moment, Asahi rushed forward and accidentally collided with Maya. The familiar scent confirmed it for him. It was definitely her. Maya asked if Asahi was alright and what he meant when he said this time. She wondered if there had been someone else besides her. Asahi awkwardly tried to explain that it was just a misunderstanding. Kilmaria approached and asked if that earlier attack had been Maya's doing, accusing her of interrupting the duel she was about to have with Asahi. Maya said she had sensed Asahi was in danger and hurried over, realizing her instinct had been correct. She believed Kilmaria's behavior toward Asahi had been inappropriate, saying that Kilmaria's revealing outfit left no other explanation. Maya admitted that Asahi was cute and said she understood why Kilmaria might be drawn to him, though her words left Asahi completely confused. Kilmaria said she only wanted a proper battle with Asahi, but Maya misunderstood and accused her of having indecent intentions. Kilmaria grew annoyed, saying Maya had no right to call anyone indecent when her own outfit was just as revealing. Maya confidently replied that Asahi liked her outfit, which made Asahi flustered and protest immediately. Kilmaria ignored the argument, saying she didn't care who Maya was. What mattered was that she had interrupted Kilmaria's challenge. She then launched an attack. Maya reacted swiftly and blocked it. Their powers clashed, causing a massive shockwave that almost sent Asahi flying. The power between Maya and Kilmaria seemed evenly matched, and it was clear that their battle wouldn't end with just one strike. Kilmaria realized that Asahi's reputation had spread thanks to Maya's achievements, and she felt glad that the fight wouldn't be over too quickly. She then charged at Maya again, while Maya called her a strange woman. The two continued to clash fiercely, unleashing such immense power that stones and trees around them were shattered. Asahi was convinced that their strength was beyond reason. After a while, Maya managed to knock Kilmaria down. Kilmaria admitted that Maya's strength was overwhelming and said she wasn't sure whether she could win if the battle continued. Getting back on her feet, Kilmaria summoned her fiery power called Fearful Flare. Asahi started to worry about Maya, but Maya quickly unleashed her storm power. She successfully blocked the Fearful Flare, sending Kilmaria crashing to the ground. Kilmaria couldn't believe she had been defeated. She asked for Maya's name, and Maya introduced herself as Ikusaba Maya. At that moment, Kilmaria realized that Maya was actually Asahi's older sister. She then told Maya to finish her off, but Asahi suddenly stopped her. Maya asked if Asahi wanted to land the final hit himself to earn more experience points. Asahi replied that he wasn't that cruel. He reminded Maya that Kilmaria had saved him twice from monsters, and that even though Kilmaria was the leader of a demon army, she wasn't an evil person. Maya was surprised that Asahi would let Kilmaria go, considering she had once tried to take advantage of him. Asahi pointed out that Maya was the one who clung to him every day, but Maya insisted that it was simply normal physical contact between family members. Asahi continued defending Kilmaria, which made Kilmaria ask if he was pitying her. Asahi then told her that older sisters should sometimes listen to their younger brothers. After that, he invited Maya to head home. Maya asked which one of them, Kilmaria or Asahi, had been mistaken about the other. But Asahi quickly changed the subject, saying he would cook dinner for them. Maya happily said that she would enjoy anything her brother made. Asahi then mentioned that he planned to cook mushrooms for dinner. Kilmaria commented that the two of them were quite an interesting pair of siblings. Asahi explained to Maya who Kilmaria really was. Maya admitted that Kilmaria was unlike any monster they had encountered so far and acknowledged her strength. Asahi praised his sister for defeating Kilmaria all by herself, and then asked why she hadn't run out of magic points after such an intense battle. Maya claimed she was fine, but then suddenly said that her magic power was completely drained and that she couldn't walk anymore, so she asked Asahi to carry her. Asahi suspected she was pretending since she had looked perfectly fine moments ago. He ended up calling Kilmaria for help. That night, Asahi and Maya shared dinner together. They ate rainbow mushrooms, and after taking a bite, Asahi was surprised by how delicious they were. Maya said it was only natural, since Asahi had risked his life to pick them. Asahi admitted that he thought it would be a much easier mission at first. He then asked Maya why she named her powers Big Sister's Flame and Big Sister's Storm, saying those names sounded too simple compared to Kilmaria's dramatic attack names like Crimson Blaze and Fearful Flare. Maya confidently replied that even if her attack names were simple, her strength was in no way inferior to Kilmaria's. Then she thought of a cooler name, Big Sister's Hurricane. Asahi suggested that maybe she should drop the Big Sister part altogether. That day, Maya had once again saved Asahi from a group of monsters chasing him. Asahi told her she didn't need to keep helping him. Maya replied that she wouldn't have stepped in if he had been attacked by just one monster, but since he was surrounded, she had no choice but to help. Afterward, Maya helped Asahi get back on his feet and brushed off the dirt on his clothes. She teased him lightheartedly about how clumsy he was. Maya had a tendency to be overly affectionate with her younger brother. She cared for him deeply and often went overboard in expressing it. She gave him a tight hug, saying that she was just happy he was safe. Asahi, slightly embarrassed, asked her to stop being so clingy. Though he appreciated her concern, Asahi couldn't help but feel helpless. That day, Asahi found himself in the kingdom of Caesarion, the capital city of Epiphania. He felt genuinely happy when he checked his status screen. He had finally reached level 10. Maya congratulated him warmly. Even though it was still a low level, just past the beginner stage, Asahi was proud of his progress. However, Maya noticed that the experience points from the dozens or even hundreds of monsters she had defeated didn't seem to be added to Asahi's status. Asahi guessed that experience points were probably distributed based on contribution or damage dealt, maybe even through support roles like healing or buffing. He concluded that his level would only increase if he actively fought on his own. Maya then suggested a faster way to level up. She could capture a monster for him, and Asahi could attack it while it was unable to fight back. Asahi refused, saying that it would feel wrong to attack something that couldn't defend itself, even if it was just to gain experience. Trying to think of another way, Maya jokingly suggested that Asahi could attack her instead. Since her level was extremely high, he would gain a lot of experience points from it. But Asahi immediately turned down the idea, saying that he didn't want to risk hurting her. Hearing that, Maya blushed slightly and hugged him again, touched by his kindness. Once again, Asahi asked her to let go. He said that leveling up would be more enjoyable if it happened gradually. Using shortcuts or cheats would only take away the fun and challenge of the adventure. Maya smiled faintly, saying that she could probably end most of their adventures with a single strike. Then she added that maybe Asahi didn't even need to become stronger. Her words hit him hard, especially since he had been trying so hard to improve himself. Maya reminded him that moving forward could be dangerous. But even so, Asahi insisted that he wanted to get stronger on his own. When Asahi checked his status again, Maya interrupted, asking him to pay attention to her instead. Asahi then decided to test one of his skills. In an instant, he vanished from sight, leaving Maya, who had been hugging him, almost falling forward. The skill he used was called Escape, an ability that allowed him to flee from tight situations. Feeling victorious for once, Asahi was proud that he managed to slip away from Maya's grasp. But when he turned around, he saw Maya's eyes sparkling with excitement. She said that the more her target tried to run, the more fired up she became. Asahi panicked as Maya began to chase after him. He shouted, begging her not to treat her own little brother like prey. He tried using Escape again, but this time it didn't work. He wondered if it failed because he was out of MP, or if the skill could only be used once. Before he could figure it out, Maya caught up to him and hugged him tightly again, relieved that he was safe. Later, Asahi returned to the guild. He realized that he wouldn't grow stronger if he kept relying solely on Maya. He decided to try forming a party with other adventurers, but it turned out to be more complicated than he expected. He had almost forgotten that teaming up with others was a normal thing in this world since he was always with Maya. Asahi imagined what it would be like to take on raid bosses together, explore new places, share meals and stories, and make memorable experiences with his teammates. Just as he was lost in thought, Thanya, a friendly guild receptionist, approached him and asked if he was looking for party members. She mentioned that there were still a few open spots available. Then she asked whether Asahi was still adventuring solo. Asahi replied that he wasn't alone, he was always with Maya. Thanya assumed that Asahi was the main attacker while Maya supported him from behind, though the reality was quite the opposite. Thanya explained that party formations were flexible, but the most effective ones were usually well balanced. She gave an example: Balmunk, a famous party led by Siegfried. Its members included Gordon, a tank known for his unbeatable defense; Mimosa, a master of all kinds of magic and support spells; Shulain, an elf archer who specialized in long-range combat; and Siegfried himself, who excelled in close-quarters fighting. Thanya said that Balmunk was considered the ideal party structure. Asahi agreed, saying that sharing roles in battle sounded fun. Then he asked what Siegfried and his team were doing at the moment, since he had heard before that they set out to defeat the Demon King's army. Thanya explained that Balmunk had been ambushed by a mysterious enemy and was forced to retreat. Surprise, Asahi couldn't believe that even Balmunk had to flee. When Asahi walked outside, he saw a drunk man being harassed by a group of thugs. He didn't really want to get involved at first, but when it looked like they were about to seriously hurt the man, Asahi couldn't just stand by. He threw a rock at them, unable to ignore what was happening. Asahi couldn't stand seeing someone being bullied, so he yelled at the drunk man to run away. The three thugs immediately turned on Asahi. He planned to use his escape skill once they got close, but before he could do anything, the drunk man suddenly fought back and took them down effortlessly. Asahi was stunned. That man had just taken out three thugs in a blink. He couldn't help but wonder who he really was. A moment later, the drunk man started vomiting. Asahi went over to help, gently patting his back to make him feel better. The man thanked him afterward. That's when Asahi finally realized who he was. It was Siegfried. After drinking some water, Siegfried started feeling a little better and thanked Asahi again. Asahi asked if the man before him was really Siegfried, the dragon-class adventurer better known as the Dragon Hunter. Siegfried admitted it was true, but said he didn't feel worthy of such a grand title. He joked that Loyal Dog Pachi might be a more fitting name for him right now. Curious, Asahi asked what had happened to him. Siegfried began telling his story. He explained that he and the members of Balmunk had gone on a mission to defeat a demon army, but it ended in complete failure. They only faced one demon, yet its strength was overwhelming. Every attack they made was brushed off as if it were a child's punch, and the demon hadn't even been fighting seriously. Asahi couldn't believe there was a demon that terrifying. Siegfried said that after that defeat, his confidence was shattered. All he could do now was drink to forget. Frustrated, Siegfried began ranting about his name, how his parents gave him such a noble one, and how he'd always tried not to disgrace it. He used to act cool just to cheer himself up, and before he knew it, he had taken on missions to fight demons. Asahi tried to comfort him, saying that at least Siegfried had gained things that couldn't be replaced, like his friends, companions, and memories. He mentioned that Thanya once told him Balmunk was considered the ideal adventuring party. Siegfried replied that reality wasn't that simple. He explained how things really were in Balmunk. Mimosa loved to party and spent the clan's money at host clubs. Shulain, being over 150 years old, constantly scolded him with an air of superiority. Gordon was extremely shy and refused to talk. Siegfried had never even seen his face. Siegfried told Asahi not to dream too much about party life. It wasn't as glorious as it seemed. Still, he admitted that after Balmunk disbanded following their defeat, he actually felt a bit relieved. Traveling solo suited him better. Asahi then asked if teamwork in a party was important, about how protecting and being protected by others might be the key to surviving. Siegfried said that maybe that was true. Asahi then said his goodbye. Siegfried smiled a little and admitted that once upon a time, he used to think like Asahi, just wanting to help whoever was in trouble right in front of him. Back at the guild, Asahi decided to apply to join a party. Thanya quickly approached him, saying it was perfect timing because there was an emergency mission, a group of wyverns was attacking a village outside the city. Since all the high-ranked adventurers were away, she begged Asahi to take the job, especially since he had experience fighting wyverns before. Asahi said he needed to return to the inn first to get ready, but Thanya told him there was no time and that she would escort him straight to the location. She pushed him into the horse carriage, and once they arrived, the carriage immediately left. There Asahi suddenly found himself face to face with 3 wyverns. Unfortunately, he had no escape options and no speed skills available. Panic set in as one of the wyverns lunged at him, but before it could strike, a powerful force obliterated all of them in an instant. That power came from Kilmeria. She greeted Asahi, teasingly calling him the unlucky young man. Asahi recognized her and said her name. Kilmeria smirked and teased him again, asking why he didn't call her big sister. Asahi thanked her for saving him once more. Kilmeria replied that he was just too weak, so of course she had to help. Asahi muttered that it wasn't that he was weak, it was just that Kilmeria and Maya were way too strong. Curious, he asked why Kilmeria was there. Maybe she was testing her powers against monsters again? But Kilmeria said she had actually come to return his adventurer badge. Asahi suddenly remembered he had dropped it earlier and thanked her sincerely. Just as Kilmeria was about to explain her real reason for being there, a few more wyverns appeared. Before she could act, Maya shouted out her attack, calling it Thunder Big Sister, and in an instant all the wyverns were wiped out. It turned out that Kilmeria's real intention was to have a rematch with Maya. Unfortunately, Maya completely ignored her. She was far more worried about Asahi's condition, calling him reckless for taking down a wyvern on his own without her. Maya then told Asahi that they should head home, dismissing Kilmeria altogether. Kilmeria called out to them, and Maya responded by addressing her as the half-naked woman, saying that Kilmeria's outfit was harmful to Asahi's eyes. She told Kilmeria to stay out of Asahi's sight. Kilmeria, unwilling to back down, pointed out that Maya's own outfit was revealing too, showing her midriff. Maya replied that her outfit was chosen by Asahi since he liked the look of bikini-style armor. Asahi quickly shouted for them to stop dragging him into their argument, but that only made Kilmeria think he might actually have that kind of taste. Kilmeria insisted on having a rematch and claimed that she would not lose to Maya this time. Maya, confused, asked why she even needed to fight her again. Kilmeria said that one didn't need a reason to fight. It was simply to see who was stronger. Maya sighed, saying that sounded troublesome and that she didn't want to bother with anything that didn't involve Asahi. Kilmeria, frustrated, decided to take Asahi hostage. Asahi was completely confused by what she was doing. Kilmeria told him to pretend to cry and beg for help so that Maya would agree to fight her. Suddenly, Maya appeared right above Kilmeria, ready to strike. With a single punch, she knocked Kilmeria out instantly. Maya then turned around and told Asahi they should go home. However, Kilmeria quickly grabbed Maya's leg, tripping her. She demanded that Maya fight her and even called her indecent. In the middle of their scuffle, a wyvern suddenly appeared and snatched Asahi, carrying him high into the sky. Seeing Asahi in danger, both Maya and Kilmeria immediately went after the creature. Maya launched her Thunder Break attack, destroying the wyvern in a single strike. When the wyvern exploded, Asahi began falling, but Kilmeria swooped in and caught him just in time. Kilmeria praised Maya for attacking without hesitation, and Maya was surprised to see that Kilmeria could actually fly. She said she was glad to leave Asahi in the hands of someone capable. Kilmeria was taken aback that Maya would trust her, considering she was one of the 6 demon generals. Asahi couldn't help but think that Maya and Kilmeria were actually quite similar. Maya told Asahi they should head back, but before they could, Kilmeria grabbed Asahi again. She challenged Maya to fight her once more, promising that this time she wouldn't be careless. Asahi quickly used his escape skill and slipped free from Kilmeria's grasp. Surprised, Kilmeria asked since when he had learned teleportation magic. She admitted that maybe he could have survived even without her help, but Asahi told her that if he couldn't concentrate, his skill wouldn't work, so she really had saved him. Maya said she thought Asahi had managed that landing on his own, with Kilmeria just happening to be there. Kilmeria commented that the two of them were an interesting pair, saying Asahi wasn't just weak like he seemed. Maya proudly added that Asahi wasn't only adorable, but also improving day by day. Kilmeria decided to end things there, saying she would take her leave for the day. Asahi looked at Maya's face, prompting her to ask if something was on it. Asahi simply thought to himself that all he really needed was Maya. Maya was deeply moved by his words. She hugged him tightly, saying that she also only needed him, and that she wanted them to always be together. However, what Asahi actually meant was that he needed her in his adventuring party. Unfortunately, Maya misunderstood and thought he was talking about a celebration. Maya happily said that they would have a party that night, just the two of them, and cheerfully added that she wouldn't let Asahi sleep at all. That night, Thanya told Asahi about a house that used to be built by Lord Midnight for his servant. The house was located in a noble residential area of the Caesarian kingdom, but ever since it had been left unoccupied, people often heard strange noises and screams in the middle of the night. A creepy rumor spread that the house was haunted by an evil spirit called a wraith. When Asahi came to the guild, Thanya noticed his expression and guessed that he had probably run out of money for his inn again. Her guess was right. Asahi asked for a well-paying mission. Thanya asked if he had been staying at the inn with his sister ever since they arrived in the city. Asahi said he really wanted to have his own base, since having a base was very important in any MMO, massively multiplayer online game. Thanya then recommended a mission that might suit him. It was a request from the nobles, and the reward was a house, though it definitely wouldn't be an easy job. Thanya asked if he was sure he wanted to take on such a difficult mission. Asahi confidently said he would accept it, but his expression changed when he realized the task was to exorcise a ghost. He looked terrified. Thanya told him not to worry. With the incredible power he currently possessed, it should be an easy mission for him. Later, Asahi returned to the inn and told Maya about the ghost exorcising mission. He said Thanya was probably just exaggerating, thinking that the so-called ghost was an outdated rumor, but Maya reminded him that they were in another world, and encountering something supernatural here wouldn't be strange at all. Asahi insisted that whoever was living in that abandoned house without permission was probably just a vagrant or a fugitive. Maya suddenly startled him, teasing that he looked adorable when he was scared. That night, the two of them set out for the abandoned building to carry out the mission. On the way, Asahi asked why they didn't just go there the next morning instead. Maya explained that ghosts usually appeared at night, so going there in daylight would be pointless. She added that only by defeating the ghost could they claim the house as their own. Asahi mentioned that even high-level clerics had failed to deal with this spirit, leaving the guild puzzled. Maya was reminded of Asahi's childhood. Back when he played a horror game set in a haunted mansion, he became so scared afterward that he couldn't go to the bathroom alone and asked her to go with him. Asahi quickly said that was in the past, claiming he no longer feared ghosts or anything paranormal. Suddenly, a loud thunderclap made him jump, and Maya gently calmed him down, telling him it was just thunder and not coming their way. She said that after being together for 15 years, she knew perfectly well that Asahi didn't like ghosts and didn't need to pretend otherwise in front of her. As they continued toward the haunted house, Asahi walked behind Maya, hoping nothing would suddenly pop out at him. Then something did, and he screamed, but it turned out to be just a cat. In his panic, Asahi accidentally tugged on Maya's scarf, almost choking her. He quickly apologized and let go. When they finally reached the front of the house, Asahi tried to open the main door, but an odd force pushed him back instantly. Maya rushed over to check on him, and suddenly a ghostly voice echoed, warning them to leave if they valued their lives. Asahi felt his energy being drained. It was the ghost's skill. The voice confirmed his suspicion, saying it could absorb the life force of anyone who entered the house. Maya stepped forward to try dealing with it, but Asahi stopped her, afraid that the ghost might drain all of her power. However, the spirit tried to absorb Maya's energy and failed. Her power was so overwhelming that it ended up being released back. Maya easily opened the door afterward, and they stepped inside. The place looked like it needed cleaning, but it already had furniture. Maya said the house was actually pretty nice, and Asahi agreed, noting it was spacious enough for the two of them. Maya's mischievous thoughts surfaced. She said that unlike the inn, here they would have no neighbors, so they could live freely. Asahi told her that her imagination was scarier than the ghost itself. He commented that Maya didn't seem to have any fears. Maya paused for a moment, then admitted that she actually did have one fear. Asahi thought he was finally going to learn her weakness, but Maya teasingly said that her greatest fear was Asahi himself, especially if he ever tried to corner her. Asahi was annoyed and told her that even if they got the house, she was forbidden from doing anything like that. Maya burst into laughter, asking where the ghost had gone. She didn't believe it had simply vanished after failing to absorb her power. She suspected it was hiding somewhere and began checking the corners of the room, but found nothing. Asahi muttered that hopefully there wouldn't be any poltergeist activity. Suddenly, a chair flew across the room and hit him, knocking him back. Maya quickly helped him up and gave him a potion to recover. She told him to be careful. Suddenly, plates flew through the air and hit Asahi. Maya quickly gave him a high potion to heal his injuries faster. She told Asahi to be careful, convinced it had to be the work of a mischievous evil spirit. A cat-headed doll suddenly moved on its own and slammed into Asahi, and Maya hurried to give him a last elixir. But Asahi said she was overreacting for something that barely caused any damage. Maya replied that she was just extremely worried about him. Because she was so protective, she had bought way too many potions, which explained why her money kept disappearing so fast. She then shouted at the evil spirit, demanding that it stop attacking from the shadows and show its real form. The spirit laughed, revealed itself, and announced that it would face her directly. Asahi was shocked when the spirit appeared and instinctively grabbed onto Maya out of fear. Maya became excited and teased Asahi for being flustered, gently squeezing his head and refusing to let go. The evil spirit, who introduced himself as Malvicanth, launched an attack at both of them. Maya blocked it instantly, surprising Malvicanth, who couldn't believe she had stopped his magic with nothing but her voice. Maya was angry because he had frightened Asahi, and she declared that Malvicanth deserved severe punishment for that. She began preparing to unleash her power to send Malvicanth away for good, but Asahi quickly reminded her not to destroy the house in the process. He was worried that if they fought seriously, the entire building would explode, and he'd end up drowning in debt and forced to take illegal work to pay it off. Malvicanth could feel just how overwhelming Maya's power was. She was strong enough to rival one of the 6 demon generals who guarded the underworld. Realizing he couldn't win in a direct fight, Malvicanth decided to take control of Maya's body instead. Maya tried to resist and push him out, but it was no use. Malvicanth managed to enter her body and completely took over. Using Maya's overwhelming strength, he laughed triumphantly, thrilled to have gained control of the strongest vessel he could imagine. Asahi realized how dangerous the situation had become. If Maya's power fell into the hands of an enemy, it could wipe out the entire village, maybe even threaten the world itself. He needed a plan fast. When Maya, now controlled by Malvicanth, turned her gaze toward him, Asahi used his escape skill to run away, but he only teleported a short distance. Seeing this, Maya simply smiled and walked toward him. Asahi tried thinking of other options. Teleport to the entrance, jump to the second floor, anything. But nothing seemed workable. Maya continued walking closer. He couldn't use escape again, so he convinced himself to stand his ground. He also couldn't just leave Maya like this. He stood up and shouted Maya's name, hoping she would recognize him as her younger brother and break free from the possession. He called out again with everything he had. At that moment, Kilmaria opened the door and stepped inside. She said she had been looking for Asahi and Maya, but froze when she saw the tense atmosphere between them. She wondered if they were in the middle of a sibling fight. Asahi rushed to her, hoping she might be able to help. He quickly explained what had happened to Maya. Kilmaria was surprised it had come to this, but commented that, in her eyes, it was actually impressive, though Asahi strongly disagreed. Kilmaria called Maya pathetic for allowing a weak wraith to possess her body despite being her rival. Asahi wondered if Malvicanth would be upset at being called weak. Kilmaria said Maya's resolve must have been shaky and declared she would snap her out of it with a strong blow. She prepared to attack, but Asahi lunged forward to stop her, worried it would destroy the house. Kilmaria didn't understand why Asahi was suddenly tackling her like that, but he desperately asked her not to start a full power fight indoors. She agreed, then calmly asked Asahi to let go. Realizing he had bumped into her in a very awkward way, Asahi backed away immediately and apologized, explaining that it was completely unintentional. Kilmaria, flustered but still composed, teased him for being overly bold, though she understood it had happened by accident. Before they could say anything else, Maya's aura suddenly grew even stronger. Kilmaria noted that Malvicanth was more capable than she expected, considering he was using so much of Maya's power. She then challenged him directly. Kilmaria placed a wooden staff on the ground between them. Asahi nervously asked what she was planning to do next. Kilmaria explained that she and Maya were about to settle things with an arm wrestling match. Asahi wondered why Kilmaria chose something like that. Kilmaria said she was confident she could overpower Maya, and once Maya's strength dropped, She planned to force Malvikanth out of her body. She asked Asahi if that sounded like a solid idea, and Asahi agreed. Kilmeria then approached Maya and teased her, laughing as she questioned whether Maya was scared of losing or simply unable to compete. The two of them locked eyes with intense determination. Maya and Kilmeria began their match, gripping each other's hands tightly and pouring their strength into it. Their power was so overwhelming that objects around them started to shake and break. Asahi was even pushed back by the shockwave. Just as he expected, their strength was enough to destroy anything nearby, so he reminded them not to wreck his house. Kilmeria, thrilled by how strong Maya was, thought the match felt even more exciting than she imagined. She hadn't expected Malvikanth to be able to tap into Maya's immense power. Overjoyed, she said the match was turning out to be far more interesting than she planned. The two unleashed their full strength, and the force blew apart the wooden barrel they were using as a base. To Asahi, this no longer resembled a normal arm wrestling match. He asked who the winner was, then saw Kilmeria lying on the floor completely worn out, while Maya was still standing. Asahi was startled when he noticed how intense Maya's expression looked. Maya suddenly charged toward him and pinned him to the ground. Asahi could feel how unbelievably strong she was. He told himself he couldn't lose to Malvikanth. He yelled for Malvikanth to leave Maya's body and declared he would never allow that spirit to take over the sister he cared about more than anything. Hearing that caused Maya's heart to race, and the sudden emotional surge forced Malvikanth out of her. Seeing this, Asahi asked if the spirit had been purified. He quickly called Maya's name, but Maya suddenly jumped toward him again. Asahi realized that Maya had returned to her usual behavior, energetic, dramatic, and overly affectionate, in a way that often made him uncomfortable. Maya teased him, saying she had no choice but to tackle him because the spirit had supposedly controlled her. She apologized, then admitted she actually hadn't been possessed. Malvikanth had tried, but Maya's own strength was much greater. Kilmeria had actually noticed from the start that Maya was acting. Asahi grew frustrated, wondering why Maya would joke like that when he had been genuinely worried. Maya apologized once more and said she came back to her senses because of him. Asahi asked her not to make jokes like that anymore since the spirit was already gone, and he suggested they return to the guild to make their report. Maya and Asahi left the house. After the two reported back to the guild, the house officially became theirs. They cleaned every corner of it. Maya was thrilled to finally have a home, and Asahi felt deeply grateful as well, because they finally had a place that belonged to just the two of them. That day, Asahi and Maya were exploring a long corridor. As they walked, Asahi accidentally pushed a section of the wall, which turned out to be a hidden switch. Maya assumed the wall was damaged, but Asahi believed it was similar to mechanisms found in dungeons. He asked Maya to step back. Suddenly, a massive boulder rolled toward them. Asahi realized it was a stone trap. Maya found it surprisingly exciting. Asahi tried to calm himself down, reminding himself that he was a proper adventurer. He spotted a door and prepared to run toward it, but Maya stayed where she was. Instead of retreating, she faced the boulder head-on and shattered it in an instant with a single kick. She cheerfully encouraged Asahi to continue their journey. Earlier that day, Asahi had visited the guild to request a new mission. Thanya had offered him an investigation request involving the ruins of a dungeon whose entrance was hidden in the Claudio Forest. If the dungeon turned out to be safe, the mission would later be open to lower-rank adventurers. Asahi felt a bit conflicted, knowing he held a high rank only because of Maya's overwhelming strength. He asked Thanya why the dungeon had only been discovered recently. Thanya explained that a mysterious natural disaster had reshaped the entire area. Rumors said the event had been caused by two fighters with extraordinary power, so she was hoping a hero like Asahi could look into it. Asahi was shocked to hear her describe him that way. After Thanya asked again if he was willing to help, he eventually agreed. As he walked toward Claudio Forest, Asahi repeated to himself that he might truly be a hero. A wild creature watched him from a distance, but the moment Maya appeared behind him, the animal panicked and ran off. Asahi continued walking calmly, though he felt frustrated, thinking that he would never grow stronger if he kept relying on Maya's protection. He finally reached the dungeon entrance and convinced himself that someone with his rank should be able to handle the mission alone. But Maya suddenly appeared behind him and wondered what mission he had taken, surprised that he had left her behind. With that, the two of them entered the dungeon together. Maya asked whether ghosts appeared in dungeons the same way they did at home the previous night. Asahi admitted it was technically possible. She then asked whether he was scared. Asahi refused to let himself sound childish, reminding her that he was an adventurer at augur class. Maya startled him by holding up an animal skull she found on the ground, causing him to jump in fear. She asked if she should take it home as a souvenir, but Asahi insisted she throw it away, worried it could be cursed. Maya then asked what a dungeon actually was. Asahi explained that a dungeon was a closed-off labyrinth filled with monsters and traps designed to keep intruders out. He added that many believed dungeons were remnants of ancient civilizations, and that a labyrinth ruler typically waited at the deepest level. For him, the thrill of exploring one carried a kind of fantasy charm. Maya didn't fully understand his excitement, but she was happy to see him enjoy the experience. Asahi told Maya to stay close and not get separated. He explained that the standard method for navigating a dungeon was to keep one's left hand on the wall until reaching an important point. The moment he placed his hand on one side of the wall, arrows suddenly shot toward him, but Maya swiftly destroyed them. Asahi identified it as a trap. Maya asked if he was alright, and after deciding the path was too dangerous, Asahi asked her to let him take the lead. But as he stepped forward, his hand accidentally pressed a floor switch that opened a pit beneath Maya. She nearly fell into a chamber filled with sharp metal spikes, but she caught herself and jumped back up effortlessly. Asahi felt that the way she moved was far beyond normal human technique. They continued walking hand in hand until they found a door. Once they stepped inside, the air suddenly grew much colder. Maya sensed something approaching, and she was right. A group of skeletal knights, guardians of the dungeon, emerged from the shadows. She prepared to take them down, but Asahi grabbed her reflexively to stop her. The two of them lost their balance and fell, with Asahi landing on top of her. He quickly apologized, and Maya grew flustered in a way that suggested she had misunderstood the moment. Asahi reminded her that using powerful magic inside a fragile dungeon could cause the structure to collapse. Since Maya could not use her magic safely, Asahi resorted to his stone-throwing skill. However, the skeletal knights possessed a deflecting ability and knocked the stone right back at him. Maya swiftly caught and crushed the stone before leaping forward and delivering a powerful kick that reduced the knights to harmless fragments. Asahi realized once again that even without magic, Maya's strength was tremendous. Maya encouraged him to continue deeper into the dungeon. They eventually reached the innermost chamber, but no dungeon ruler was present. Asahi wondered if this mission would end without a boss battle. Suddenly, 3 bear cubs appeared. Asahi recognized them as the children of the Kaiser bear that Kilmeria had once defeated. One cub jumped into Asahi's lap and affectionately licked him. Asahi grew worried that if the dungeon was open to other adventurers, the cubs would be in danger. Maya asked what Asahi planned to do. He concluded that the dungeon was unstable and likely to collapse eventually. Because of that, he recommended that it should remain closed. Maya agreed, and the two of them prepared to return. They finally returned to the forest and took in the fresh air. Asahi felt that the adventure they had just gone through was pretty thrilling. Maya then wondered if Asahi understood the psychological effect of crossing a suspension bridge together. She had heard that when a man and a woman face danger side by side, they become more likely to develop romantic feelings. She even implied that the dungeon they had explored was the perfect setting for that kind of atmosphere. Maya moved closer, hoping to create a moment with him, but Asahi felt uncomfortable and politely asked her to give him some space. He grew frustrated and wished Maya would stop treating him like a little kid. Maya wondered if Asahi wanted to distance himself from her, but Asahi clarified that this was not his intention at all. He was simply hungry and wanted to head home. Understanding this, Maya left right away to prepare food. Right after she left, Asahi suddenly found himself surrounded by wild animals. Thankfully, with his escape skill, he managed to sprint out of the forest as fast as he could. Just as he caught his breath, a girl called out to him and asked for directions, and tried to convince him to come with her. Something about her behavior felt suspicious, so he used his escape skill again to avoid her. Asahi questioned whether she was really an ordinary resident and wondered if she intended to challenge him. Since Maya wasn't by his side and he didn't have enough MP left to use escape again, he prepared himself to face her with whatever strength he had. The girl laughed, impressed that Asahi had sensed something unusual about her. Her manner of speaking felt strangely familiar to him, and he soon realized who she was. He guessed that the girl was actually Kilmeria. The girl laughed again and admitted that she really was Kilmeria. Asahi was confused by how different she looked and asked about her missing horns. Kilmeria explained that she was using perception-blocking magic. With a snap of her fingers, she shifted between her disguise and her true form before returning to the appearance of an ordinary village girl. She adjusted others' perception so they would see her only as a harmless traveler. Asahi found the technique impressive. Kilmaria then asked if her disguised form matched the type of girl Asahi liked, insisting that she looked cute that way. Asahi compared it to creating a second character on a sub-account, then asked why she had come to the city in disguise. Kilmaria said she simply wanted to observe human life and asked Asahi to show her around town. Asahi hesitated, wondering if guiding a high-ranking demon around the city could be considered betrayal. Unfortunately for him, Kilmaria said she could practically read his thoughts. When Asahi asked her not to do that, she clarified that she didn't actually have mind-reading powers. She was simply fascinated by humans after meeting Asahi and Maya and wanted to understand their world better. She wondered if that curiosity was unacceptable. Asahi told her he believed he could trust her, which made her genuinely happy. They walked through the city together. Asahi admitted he didn't really know many interesting places. Kilmaria, however, was delighted by almost everything. She pointed out how many physically weak humans were walking around and commented on the number of tall buildings everywhere. Asahi took Kilmaria to a large bridge, the first she had ever seen. She was eager to cross it and remarked that humans were so easily troubled, since they needed bridges just to cross rivers. Later, Asahi guided her to a tall tower where she admired the impressive scenery. Noticing Asahi fall silent, Kilmaria wondered if he was thinking about Maya. Asahi suspected she was trying to read his mind again, but Kilmaria admitted she was simply curious. She asked if he and Maya had been arguing. She was surprised, since even siblings as close as Asahi and Maya could still clash. Asahi told her that disagreements were normal because humans were complicated. Kilmaria then asked if Asahi wanted to become a demon. The question shocked him. She explained that being a demon came with strength and abilities that were fun to use, and she invited him to leave Maya behind and join her instead. Asahi refused, saying he could never abandon Maya. Even if they faced many problems, Maya would always be family. Kilmaria responded by calling humans troublesome, fragile, and difficult to understand. Asahi went to the guild to meet Thanya. He explained that the dungeon should probably remain closed because it was unstable and could collapse, which would cause serious trouble. Thanya seemed irritated that Asahi arrived at the guild with a girl, yet she still handed him the mission reward. Asahi thanked her politely, while Kilmaria teased Thanya, which only made Thanya more upset before she walked away. Asahi scolded Kilmaria afterward because he worried that Thanya might misunderstand the situation. They went to a local eatery, and once the food arrived, Asahi suggested a small toast. They finished their meals, and Kilmaria ate with noticeable enthusiasm. Asahi couldn't help thinking that if people realized a high-ranking member of the demon army was sitting there, adventurers from the entire guild might rush in to confront her, and he wouldn't even know whose side to take. Kilmaria asked for a refill on her drink, and once she was satisfied, she invited Asahi to head out. Asahi quickly picked up the mission reward he had earned. Even though gathering it had been difficult, he planned to use it to treat Kilmaria. When Kilmaria reached the exit, the shop owner asked her to pay. Not understanding the concept of money, she seemed confused. Asahi suddenly realized she lacked basic human world knowledge. Kilmaria almost escalated the situation with the shop owner out of frustration, but Asahi stepped in just in time and assured the owner that he would cover everything. On their way home, Kilmaria complained that the shop owner had been rude for asking her for compensation. Asahi explained gently that when someone stayed in a person's home, they followed the household's way of doing things, and when someone stayed in the human world, they followed human rules. Kilmaria accepted this, while Asahi privately wondered why all the women around him always acted so boldly. Kilmaria said humans were troublesome, and then laughed when she noticed how cute Asahi looked when he was annoyed. They suddenly ran into Siegfried, who asked if Asahi was on a date. He introduced himself to Kilmaria and reached out to shake her hand. The moment their hands met, Siegfried sensed an overwhelming and unsettling aura from her. Shocked, he asked Asahi who she really was. Asahi insisted she was just a friend. Siegfried, growing pale and dizzy, excused himself and hurried away. Asahi hoped Siegfried would feel better soon, while Kilmaria immediately hugged Asahi and urged him to drink more with her back at his home. When they reached Asahi's house, Kilmaria remarked that it looked clean. She suggested that they surprise Maya with their appearance, and Asahi followed her idea. Asahi opened the door and greeted Maya. Maya welcomed him back and mentioned that she had prepared dinner. However, she was startled when she noticed he had returned with a girl. Kilmaria claimed she was dating Asahi and introduced herself as Maria. Without hesitation, Maya tapped Kilmaria with a broom in a scolding manner. Asahi, surprised, said Maya was being too harsh. Maya asked why Kilmaria was pretending. Asahi realized that Maya had already seen through her disguise, explaining that even though Kilmaria had changed her appearance, her unusual aura could still be sensed. Kilmaria acknowledged Maya's sharp perception, saying Maya had broken through her perception-blocking spell with ease. Kilmaria became irritated that Maya had scolded a guest like that, while Maya challenged her again, though neither acted violently. Asahi quickly stepped between them and reminded them that fighting inside the house could damage their home. He encouraged them to get along. Maya agreed, since it was what Asahi wanted. She then asked where he had been all this time, because she had already cooked and waited for him. The dinner Maya prepared looked delicious, but Asahi was still full from his earlier meal with Kilmaria. When Maya noticed him hesitating, she wondered if he didn't feel like eating. Kilmaria snapped her fingers, and Asahi suddenly felt hungry again. He realized that she had used magic on him. She then invited him to eat, but Maya reminded Kilmaria firmly that the food was meant for Asahi and that Kilmaria should head home. Maya explained to Asahi that taking care of someone was difficult, so he shouldn't casually offer resources without thinking. Feeling unfairly treated, Kilmaria sulked, saying she felt like Maya was treating her as if she were some stray creature. She insisted she didn't want to leave because she wanted to try more human food. Asahi pleaded with Maya to allow Kilmaria to eat with them. Maya eventually agreed, and the three of them ate dinner together. Asahi enjoyed the food wholeheartedly and thanked Maya for cooking. He explained that Maya had always been good at cooking and had made meals for him since long ago. Kilmaria admitted that Maya's presentation skills were impressive, but said she wasn't convinced about the taste yet. After trying it, she was surprised by how good it was. She praised Maya's cooking and said she wanted to come again to try more human dishes. The two women exchanged lively comments, and the dinner table grew pleasantly energetic. That day, a nun told peaceful Safi that she would one day meet a hero, and she was asked to support that hero so the world could be saved. Sophie wondered what the hero would be like. The nun explained that the hero would be strong, kind, and humble. Sophie pictured that a hero must be someone truly remarkable. Meanwhile, Asahi was fighting a wolf. When the wolf leaped in to attack, Asahi swung his sword and struck it cleanly, causing the wolf to fall and collapse. Maya, who was watching from nearby, praised Asahi for his strength. To Asahi, hunting wolves was already getting easier, but suddenly a massive wolf appeared, leaving him terrified. Just as the giant wolf was about to strike him, Maya rushed in to help. She released a powerful quake-like ability that split the ground open and buried the giant wolf in an instant. Maya praised Asahi for being able to hunt wolves on his own and said he was clearly growing stronger. Asahi, however, admired Maya's ability to defeat a massive monster with a single strike. Her power still felt like a cheat to him. He wondered how it was possible that they were both summoned to another world, yet their abilities were so different. He started thinking about whether he could awaken some kind of hero power within himself and become unstoppable. Maya worried that Asahi might be injured and offered him a double X potion, but Asahi explained that it was only a minor scratch. Maya then wondered if the wound could heal with just a simple treatment and eagerly offered to help him in a playful, overly enthusiastic way. Asahi felt uncomfortable with how intensely she behaved and quickly ran off, using his escape skill to get away. After he managed to flee, he wondered if maybe this was a sign he had indeed grown stronger. But suddenly he came face to face with three people walking toward him. Their arrogant attitude irritated him, and while trying to pass them, he accidentally bumped into Safi, causing her to fall. Asahi looked at her and found her incredibly cute. He immediately reached out to help her up and asked if she was okay. Safi stared at him in awe, momentarily speechless. When Asahi asked again if she was hurt, Sophie apologized, thinking she hadn't been careful, but Asahi admitted he was the one who hadn't paid attention. To Sophie, Asahi matched the description of a hero perfectly: kind, strong, and humble. When she noticed his injury, she prayed to the gods to heal him. His wound vanished completely. Asahi realized it was a healing spell and asked if she was a healer. Safi introduced herself, and Asahi thanked her and introduced himself in return. The three arrogant adventurers called out for Safi to hurry up. Safi rushed to follow them, and it was clear they treated her poorly. It seemed they were heading to a dungeon because one of them mentioned how important a healer was for exploring. They appeared to be after some treasure. Asahi figured they must be her party. Suddenly, Maya reappeared behind Asahi and prepared to fuss over his injury again, only to be surprised that it had already healed. Asahi explained that the healer girl he had just met was the one who fixed it. Maya asked what a healer was, and Asahi explained that healers specialize in curing wounds and negative conditions like poison or paralysis, though they usually aren't strong attackers. Maya commented that healers were incredibly useful, like a walking recovery potion. Asahi reminded her not to treat healers like tools, because that could lead to complaints from healers everywhere. Maya still insisted on checking the spot where his injury used to be, even though it was already healed, and Asahi struggled to get away from her. Later, Asahi arrived at the guild, where Thanya urgently asked him to help rescue a party that hadn't returned from a dungeon. She explained that rumors of buried treasure in the dungeon at the mountain's base had drawn many adventurers there. But the monsters inside were too strong, forcing everyone to retreat, except for one party that never came back, a group known as the Black Brigade. Asahi suddenly realized that it was Sophie's party. Inside the dungeon, Sophie managed to escape the labyrinth alone. All her party members had been defeated by a powerful monster. The creature captured her with one of its long limbs, and she desperately cried out for help from the gods or a hero. Asahi rushed toward her, and a strike from his sword cut through the creature's limb. He leaped forward to catch her safely and asked if she was alright. Sophie immediately recognized him and believed even more strongly that he was the hero meant for her. But there were far more monsters approaching. Maya stepped in and defeated them all with a single overwhelming blow. Sophie later regained consciousness and found her fallen party members beside her. She remembered how Asahi had saved her and felt certain that he was the hero she had been destined to meet. She felt grateful to have finally found him, though she didn't know where he had gone because he left quietly without saying anything. She admired how humble he was. Suddenly, her staff slipped from her hand and released a gentle light, signaling the direction where Asahi was. Sophie wanted to meet him right away to thank him properly, but she realized she needed to clean herself first, as her body was covered in sticky monster residue from the battle. Asahi and Maya headed to a diner to eat. Asahi still could not stop thinking about Sophie. Maya asked why he had not waited for Sophie and the others to wake up, since he might have received a reward. But Asahi said he could not stay because his body was covered in sticky residue and smelled strange. Even though he had finally met a heroine, he did not want to be seen in that condition. Maya casually replied that she would still love him no matter how messy he looked. Suddenly, Sophie's staff appeared nearby, and Sophie greeted Asahi, surprised that they happened to meet again. She called Asahi a hero and explained that she had been looking for him. Asahi did not understand why she kept calling him that. Sophie explained that he was a hero because he had saved her and the others, even though it was actually Maya who had rescued them from the man-eating plant. Asahi asked whether Sophie had been looking for him only to thank him, but it turned out that she also wanted to become his teammate. Sophie told him that ever since she was young, her mother, who had been a priest, often said that one day Sophie should support a hero and help that hero save the world. That idea had become her dream. Asahi had assumed Sophie was quiet and reserved, but she turned out to be surprisingly determined. She believed that this was the right moment to make her dream come true, and she thought all of it was fate. Asahi tried to think about it without getting lost in the talk about heroes and destiny. Having a healer on the team would actually be incredibly helpful, and Sophie was undeniably cute. He gladly accepted the idea, but explained that he needed to talk it over with the rest of his group first. Sophie immediately went to greet Maya and introduced herself. Asahi worried that Maya would not be friendly towards Sophie, but Maya was actually impressed because Sophie praised her younger brother and called him a hero. Asahi realized that Maya tended to be kind to anyone who acknowledged him positively. Suddenly, members of the Black Brigade arrived, saying they had been searching for Sophie. They blamed her for making their reputation decline. They claimed that she panicked during their expedition and did not manage to support the team, and they even said she had not been helpful despite it being her very first adventure with them. Asahi felt concerned seeing Sophie looking troubled, but to his surprise, she calmly addressed each of their complaints. She expressed that she did not feel the Black Brigade was the right fit for her, and she politely informed them that she wished to withdraw from the group. She also mentioned that she had found her hero, and therefore no longer needed to continue with their team. Asahi was stunned. He had thought Sophie was a gentle and comforting girl, yet her straightforwardness was far stronger than he expected. The Black Brigade members seemed upset that she had decided to leave, and the mood grew tense. People in the diner looked uneasy and asked everyone to avoid causing a scene inside. Sophie then looked at Asahi with confidence, as if expecting him to take the lead in resolving the situation. Asahi realized that the person he had thought would be a calm heroine was actually quite bold, and he felt overwhelmed. He was afraid that if things escalated, others might discover that he was not as strong as people assumed. Before anything could intensify, Maya subtly stepped in and redirected the conversation. With composed and gentle authority, she guided everyone to calm down. Her presence eased the tension, helping the Black Brigade members understand that the situation had grown uncomfortable for the diner's patrons. After a brief discussion, they decided to leave peacefully. When Sophie opened her eyes after all the commotion, she noticed that the Black Brigade members were already gone, and Asahi and Maya had quietly slipped out as well. Meanwhile, Asahi and Maya managed to get away from the diner, and Asahi felt relieved thanks to Maya's help. Maya asked why he did not seem to like Sophie despite her wanting to join their team. Asahi said Sophie felt like a walking hazard, meaning he wanted to avoid getting involved with someone who unintentionally caused complicated situations. He felt sure that being around someone so unpredictable would bring him nothing but trouble. Maya, however, believed Sophie was observant and appreciated the way she acknowledged Asahi as a hero. Asahi had also believed Sophie was a calm and polite girl at first. Maya teasingly reminded him that she herself was polite and pleasant to be around. She gently hugged him, saying she was trying to comfort him. To Asahi, Maya was someone who defeated monsters with ease, so he could not imagine her as a comforting figure. But for Maya, she believed she simply helped monsters find peace quickly and painlessly. Asahi could only wonder how Maya managed to equate defeating with saving. Meanwhile, Thanya was feeling irritated with the Black Brigade. After they returned, they claimed they didn't remember asking for help, which made her even more annoyed. She thought that maybe next time she would just let them deal with the consequences themselves. Asahi gave her a calming smile. Thanya recommended a mission for Asahi, taking down a pair of sister trolls. Asahi asked if there was something easier, and Thanya commented that he was surprisingly modest, especially when most people tended to be overly confident. Asahi explained that he simply wanted to gain experience carefully and steadily, and Thanya praised him, calling his attitude impressive. She then recommended a mission to collect killer bee honey. The gathering requirement, 20 units for one person, was a lot, and Asahi found himself wishing Maya were with him. Meanwhile, Maya and Kilmaria were in the forest, caught up in one of their usual clashes over food, specifically because Kilmaria refused to finish the bell peppers in her meal. Thanya informed Asahi that the mission would be difficult without a healer, since killer bees carried poison. Suddenly, Sophie arrived and said she was willing to accompany him. She was thrilled to finally find Asahi again, while he was confused about why she kept searching for him. As always, Sophie insisted on becoming Asahi's partner. Even though she was adorable, Asahi wanted to decline gently. Before he could do that, Thanya immediately registered the mission for both of them. Asahi and Sophie arrived in the forest where the killer bees lived. Asahi was stung by one of the poisonous bees, and Sophie quickly healed him. When another bee flew toward her, Asahi swiftly drew his sword and took it down. Protecting a girl while the two of them were alone actually felt nice, and for a moment, Asahi felt like the protagonist of a story. He knew it was something he could never experience while Maya was around. Sophie asked why Asahi's combat style seemed less impressive than she expected. She wondered why he wasn't fighting at full strength, considering he had easily dealt with the man-eating plants and the Black Brigade. Yet when it came to killer bees, he only knocked them out instead of defeating them completely. Asahi struggled to answer and eventually told her that fighting recklessly could disrupt the monster ecosystem, especially since this was a gathering mission. It would be different if the mission were a hunting job. Then he would eliminate them all. Sophie called him an amazing hero and said she could only admire him. She added that she needed to work hard to be worthy of being his partner. Asahi thought Sophie was genuinely kind, and he started feeling bad for being a little rough toward her earlier, especially since she hadn't caused any problems so far. Sophie said she was sure Asahi was a true hero and would never act carelessly like the Black Brigade. Her words felt a little too sharp for Asahi, but they continued the mission. Eventually, they managed to collect 10 units, half of what they needed. Sophie said she wanted to step away for a moment and asked Asahi to wait there. Asahi realized the mission wasn't as bad as he expected. After some time, Sophie suddenly screamed his name. Asahi ran toward her as fast as he could. She was being chased by a swarm of killer bees, including a massive one. Asahi wondered what she had been doing. It turned out Sophie had intentionally lured all of them so they could gather honey more effectively. She also said it was Asahi's chance to defeat them all at once. Sophie was confused when Asahi started running away instead, but Asahi was terrified that using his real power might expose him and put him in danger. Suddenly, Sophie tripped and fell, shouting in fear. Asahi felt he had no choice but to act, even without Maya. He believed that, at the very least, a hero should be able to protect someone in need. Just as he prepared to draw his sword, a massive chunk of earth crashed down and defeated all the killer bees at once. Sophie was amazed, thinking Asahi had used earth magic to take them all out. She thanked him again for saving her. Their mission was finally complete thanks to Asahi and Sophie's healing magic. Sophie offered to carry the honey back and told Asahi to take a break. Asahi thought she really was a good person. He still couldn't understand what had just happened though. Suddenly, Maya and Kilmeria appeared. They had just finished their fight and ended up moving into that area. Their battle had destroyed large parts of the forest and mountains. The pile of earth that hit the killer bees was actually a chunk of ground Maya had thrown at Kilmeria, which missed and flew toward the bees instead. Kilmeria asked why Asahi was there. He said he had just finished a mission. Maya invited him to go home with her. Kilmeria said she wanted to eat a meat dish, and Maya purposely teased her by saying she would cook meat filled with bell peppers. Meanwhile, Sophie was still waiting for Asahi at the guild, even as night fell. When Asahi and Maya were still kids, they once crossed paths with an extremely aggressive dog. Asahi was scared, but Maya stepped forward to shield him. She positioned herself between Asahi and the dog, trying to keep the animal away while urging Asahi to run. Asahi wanted to help her, yet he was too frightened to move in. Unexpectedly, the dog calmed down in front of Maya and even affectionately brushed its face against her cheek. Its owner called it soon after, and the dog trotted away. Maya got back on her feet, her clothes dirty from the ground. She was surprised to see Asahi standing while crying. She immediately tried to comfort him. Asahi admitted he felt sad because he couldn't protect her. Later that day, Thanya gave Asahi a mission. She explained that a Demon King's monster was attacking a remote village in the northwest. The village had been devastated by a one-eyed Demon King who deployed his followers to wreak havoc. The villagers were unable to stop them. A young girl asked the village chief about the adventurer who had been helping them, and the chief said the adventurer had stayed behind to protect the village and delay the monsters for as long as possible. He added that Asahi and Maya carried the spirit of true heroes and that no one should forget that. The demon leading the attack was a subordinate of Giganto, one of the 6 generals. His name was Stelepeth, a cyclops who wanted to take over the village as a foothold for launching an assault on Caesarion. Maya unleashed her firepower, and Stelepeth was instantly defeated. The demon troops fled in fear, some of them even calling Maya a monster. Asahi laughed when he heard monsters calling his sister one. However, 3 demon creatures had failed to escape in time. Asahi stepped forward, ready to take them on. He drew his sword with determination, but instead of fighting, the 3 creatures began performing a bizarre dance. The movement looked strange, and Maya wondered if it was their way of begging for mercy. Without warning, the dance placed Asahi under a hypnotic spell. Under its influence, Asahi hugged Maya and expressed deep affection for her. Maya was startled, believing he was simply being emotionally open for the first time. After a moment, Asahi regained awareness just as Maya was leaning closer to comfort him, and he quickly pulled back. Maya wondered where the gentle, openly affectionate Asahi had gone, and Asahi insisted that such behavior wasn't like him at all. He realized the dance must have caused confusion and clouded his judgment. Maya finally understood why he was acting strangely and described the dance as something unexpectedly powerful. Asahi wanted to stop the creatures before they could perform it again, but Maya blocked him. She was moved by how heartfelt the dance seemed and asked the creatures to perform it again. When they hesitated, she pressured them, and they quickly complied out of fear. Asahi watched the dance again and fell under its spell once more. He hugged Maya again, and Maya happily accepted the gesture. She gently asked if Asahi liked having his head patted. Still under the spell, Asahi said he appreciated anything Maya did. Overwhelmed with emotion, Maya reacted impulsively by tapping him on the head when he was about to regain consciousness, unable to handle the sudden shift in his behavior. This continued for a while. Each time the hypnotic effect was about to fade, Maya encouraged the 3 monsters to keep dancing. She wanted the warm moment to last. Eventually, Asahi, still affected, asked Maya for something important. He asked if Maya would stay by his side forever. In a warm and supportive way, Maya imagined a future where she and Asahi continued to rely on each other deeply, something that filled her with joy. Her daydream, however, made her lower her guard. A large monster appeared, ready to target her. This monster was Brondeth, another subordinate of Giganto and Stelepeth's brother. Brondeth had come after learning that Maya had defeated Stelepeth. Maya felt frustrated, realizing she had been distracted while spending time with Asahi. She told Asahi to hide, planning to handle Brondeth herself, but Asahi was still affected by the hypnotic dance. He stepped forward and declared that he wouldn't let the monster get near his sister. Brondef laughed at him, mocking how unsteady Asahi's legs looked. Asahi repeated his warning, picking up a stone and throwing it, though it landed far short. Brondef announced that his real opponent was the hero who had defeated Stelepith, and he had no interest in dealing with a frightened kid like Asahi. Just as he raised his fist toward Asahi, Maya intercepted the blow with one hand. Brondef was shocked she could block him so easily. Maya was upset that Brondef belittled Asahi's courage. She threw Brondef back and struck him with a powerful blast of flame. Brondef was defeated instantly. Maya said that this was the result of underestimating Asahi. She turned to Asahi, asked if he was alright, and told him not to do anything dangerous like that again. But Asahi began to cry, worrying her. She thought he might have been hurt or frightened, but he explained he felt useless. He remembered the incident with the dog when they were younger, then what happened with the monsters today. In both situations, he felt he couldn't protect Maya. He thought of himself as a coward. Maya comforted him, assuring him that he was not a coward at all. Maya described Asahi as someone kind and attentive, someone who could never ignore people in trouble. She believed that his courage was what made him impressive. Asahi wiped his tears and promised that he would keep working hard to become stronger, because he wanted to protect Maya, the person he cared about the most. Maya told him not to rush into adulthood, because she would feel sad if she could no longer spoil him the way she used to. Suddenly, a small meteor fragment fell from the sky and lightly struck Asahi's head. The impact startled him and caused him to lose his balance, making him faint for a moment. Maya felt disappointed because the moment had been going so well. She asked the three monsters to perform their dance again, but unfortunately, they had already been completely exhausted after Maya's attack during the fight with Brondef. Maya admitted that even with all her strength, she could still be powerless in situations like that. Still, she encouraged herself not to give up. Asahi woke up feeling a dull ache on his head from the meteor fragment. He was shocked when he noticed the traces of a battle around him. He could not remember what had just happened, so he immediately looked around for Maya. Maya was imitating the dance movements of the three monsters, hoping Asahi would fall under the same charm as before. She asked if he was feeling confused, and Asahi admitted that he was extremely confused. On their way home, Maya looked downcast. Asahi brought with him the meteor fragment that had struck his head. Suddenly, Maya asked him to tell her he loved her again, but Asahi firmly refused. That made Maya feel helpless and sad. Asahi thought Maya was acting unusual that day. Maya called herself weak, foolish, and pathetic. Asahi walked up to her and said that even though he did not know what had happened, he would always rely on her, so he asked her not to call herself powerless ever again. He also said that he had admired her for a long time. Hearing that moved Maya deeply. Asahi then mentioned that he was hungry and asked her to make Hamburg steak, the dish she cooked so well. Maya immediately shouted in excitement and hugged Asahi tightly. To her, the normal Asahi was always the best, and she believed he was the cutest and most wonderful little brother in the world. She promised to make him a special Hamburg steak filled with love. Asahi, feeling uncomfortable with the hug, asked her to keep some distance. The next day, Asahi went to the guild, but Thanya was not working that day. He asked why Thanya had taken a day off since she rarely did that. It turned out Thanya had a planned outing. Along the way, Asahi kept thinking about it. If Thanya had plans like that, it probably meant she was seeing someone. He wondered why that thought made him feel uneasy, and he decided to look for Siegfried instead, convinced that Siegfried was likely free as usual. Suddenly, Thanya called out to him. Asahi did not recognize her at first because her appearance looked completely different. She asked if he had forgotten the guild receptionist. It was Asahi's first time seeing Thanya in casual clothes, and he was caught off guard. Thanya asked if he was immediately charmed, but Asahi denied it. He mentioned that she was supposed to have an outing, and Thanya assumed he must have heard that from their seniors. She then introduced her little brother Roy. Asahi finally understood what she meant by outing. He commented that Thanya had the personality of a reliable older sister, since he originally thought she had the lively and sweet style of a younger sister-type character. Roy kept staring at Asahi's belt, so Asahi offered to let him hold it, but Roy hid behind Thanya. Thanya said Roy was very shy. Asahi found it amusing that while Thanya was talkative, her younger brother was so quiet, making them complete opposites. He noted that he and Maya were also like that. Asahi asked if Roy had anything he liked. Roy hid behind Thanya again, and she smiled as she said that despite his quiet nature, Roy loved hearing stories about adventurers. Roy nodded. Thanya explained that she intentionally told him many adventure stories to spark his interest in the outside world. Asahi asked if Roy knew about him. Ikusaba Asahi, the adventurer. Roy's face lit up. He said Asahi was the rising star among ogre-class adventurers. Roy explained that Thanya had told him many stories about Asahi. Roy called Asahi amazing. As he continued talking about how often Thanya mentioned him, Thanya quickly covered his mouth. She clarified that she did not talk about Asahi every day, only once in a while. Roy continued, saying Asahi was gaining fame recently for defeating one of the 6 demon generals. Asahi felt embarrassed because that accomplishment actually belonged to Maya. Asahi asked why Thanya had come to the guild if she was on a break. Thanya explained that she wanted to give out a mission, and that she also had business in the neighboring town, so she needed an escort. Roy asked if they could ask Asahi to escort them. Thanya immediately agreed, especially since Asahi was an ogre-class adventurer known for exceptional strength. Asahi froze in shock. He worried that if a monster appeared during the escort mission, they would find out he was not as strong as everyone believed. He feared being labeled a weak adventurer who faked his ranking and deceived everyone. The thought terrified him, and he worried deeply about disappointing them. In his mind, failure felt unthinkable. But then Roy looked at him with eyes full of hope and asked for his help. Asahi could not bring himself to refuse, so he agreed to escort them. Thanya and Roy were relieved and happy to have Asahi with them, feeling much safer. Meanwhile, Asahi was the one growing more anxious by the minute. They traveled by horse carriage, and Thanya expressed her gratitude because Asahi agreed to take on the mission she had requested. Asahi felt that Thanya had already helped him a lot and explained that if the request came from a boy like Roy, he would never be able to turn it down. Roy and Thanya were touched by Asahi's words. Asahi was confident that there would be no strong monsters on the main road, so he assumed nothing would happen that could ruin his image. He then asked Roy what he thought about the outside world. Feeling embarrassed, Roy leaned into Thanya for comfort. Asahi felt Roy wasn't someone who opened up easily, and Thanya explained that Roy was simply interested in adventure stories and tended to be shy. Asahi agreed that Thanya carried herself with a mature attitude as an older sister. Suddenly, a wyvern blocked their path. Asahi saw it preparing to unleash a blast of fire, so he told Thanya and Roy to get down. The fire almost hit them, but they managed to stay safe. The coachman and the horses panicked and ran away. The wyvern stood directly in front of Asahi, and he wondered if they should run as well. Roy suddenly cried in fear to the point where he couldn't stand. Thanya tried to calm her younger brother, assuring him that Asahi was strong enough to handle the situation. She believed Asahi was powerful and capable of defeating the monster. Asahi grew even more anxious when he saw the hopeful look in their eyes. Thanya comforted Roy again, reminding him that she was always by his side. This made Asahi think about Maya, who always protected him, and he realized that it was his turn to protect someone else. He unsheathed his sword and swung it at the wyvern, but it had no effect. The wyvern prepared to breathe fire again, so Asahi used his stone-throwing skill. The stone flew straight into the wyvern's mouth, and Asahi hoped it had done something, but it didn't affect the creature at all. The wyvern was about to unleash another fire blast. Asahi raised his hands toward Thanya and Roy, trying to shield them. The wyvern looked as if it would release the attack, but its body suddenly burned and collapsed under a burst of flames. Asahi wondered if he had somehow defeated it. Thanya and Roy praised him, saying he looked incredible. Roy felt guilty for being so scared and unable to do anything. He called himself a coward and believed he could never be like Asahi. Asahi approached him and told him that none of that was true. He shared that he used to be timid as well and often relied on his older sister. He encouraged Roy to keep working hard so that someday he would be able to protect Thanya. Roy was deeply moved and promised he would keep striving. Thanya walked up to Asahi and thanked him for protecting her and Roy. They shook hands. Roy then pointed out that the carriage was damaged and the horses had run off, so he wondered how they would get home. Asahi invited them to walk back together, especially since the town wasn't too far. Roy became excited and held both Asahi's and Thanya's hands as they walked. He even wished another monster would appear so he could watch Asahi fight again. The wyvern from earlier, still barely alive, attempted to release another flame attack. Fortunately, Maya arrived in time, pinned its head down, and neutralized it with a precise and powerful strike. She stated that the wyvern had already been defeated by Asahi and said she wanted to celebrate his achievement that night. That day, Asahi felt exhausted after wrapping up a difficult mission. He knew things could have ended badly if Maya and Kilmaria had not been there. Maya mentioned that protecting Asahi was easy with her strength, while Kilmaria commented that her power was the one that settled the entire mission. Maya became annoyed and accused Kilmaria of stealing her effort. Kilmaria then asked if the last mission had made Asahi level up. Asahi immediately checked his status and discovered that he had reached level 20. Maya congratulated him, though Asahi pointed out that his level was still far below both Maya and Kilmaria. A new skill had appeared on his skill tree, Level 1 Light Magic. Kilmaria explained that the world's energy was divided into 8 elements: fire, water, wind, earth, ice, lightning, light, and darkness. Her affinities were fire and darkness. Asahi recalled that in many RPGs, holy light was often the symbol of justice, and that many protagonists used it. He imagined heroes wrapped in radiant light driving away evil shadows, and the idea filled him with excitement. Kilmaria remarked that Asahi was being rather blunt, saying that right in front of her. Suddenly, a bull started running toward Asahi in a panic. Maya moved to calm it down, but Asahi stopped her because he wanted to face it himself and try out his new skill. When he focused, a magic chant suddenly surfaced in his mind. After he spoke the chant for light magic, his body emitted a bright glow that briefly stopped the bull in its tracks. That night, Asahi looked gloomy after realizing that his new level 1 light magic was extremely weak. Maya tried to cheer him up by saying that creating light at all was already impressive. The spell might not be useful for fighting yet, but it could work as a substitute for a lantern at home and help reduce expenses. When they arrived at their destination, Kilmaria noticed several animals wandering around and commented that the place felt neglected. Their mission was to clear out the hideout of a criminal group known as Dark Crisis. 2 people suddenly blocked their way and asked why they had come to their base. They tried to intimidate the group and demanded that they leave. Before they could escalate the situation further, Maya and Kilmaria swiftly knocked them back toward the entrance of the hideout. Maya warned them never to try scaring Asahi again, and Kilmaria even threatened to drag them around the town if they continued. Asahi quickly stopped the commotion and reminded both of them of the actual purpose of their visit. He then explained the mission he had received. Earlier at the guild, Thanya had assigned Asahi to take down one of the criminal groups misusing the adventurer system. Asahi had not known that criminal clans existed. Thanya told him that these groups had been falsifying ranks and selling forged badges, which caused trouble for the guild. Since adventurer ranks acted as a form of identification, forging them was considered disgraceful to all adventurers. Thanya's words left Asahi uneasy because his own rank had not been earned entirely through his own strength. She also explained that the mission was commissioned by the Brigandine family, nobles who supported guild operations. Such nobles would certainly be troubled if forged ranks spread. After understanding the situation, Asahi asked who his target was. Thanya tasked him with handling Dark Crisis, while another party would deal with a different criminal group named Overdose. After finishing his explanation, Asahi was shocked to see that the area was already filled with defeated human thugs lying around. Maya and Kilmaria had taken care of them in an instant. A man soon stepped out and asked who Asahi was and whether the guild had sent them. Asahi introduced himself and recognized the man as Lambert, the leader of Dark Crisis. Lambert already knew of Asahi. He had heard about the boy who reached Ogre class within a single month. Lambert was also an Ogre class adventurer, known by the nickname Thunder Slash. He was confident he would not lose to Asahi. Asahi was surprised that someone Ogre class would choose to use his abilities for harmful purposes. He encouraged Lambert to use his strength to help people rather than cause trouble. Lambert responded bitterly, claiming that the guild monopolized all the profits and that he was tired of hearing carefree opinions from someone like Asahi. He then demonstrated his skill, Ancient Thunder, sending out a charged sword strike strong enough to shatter the windows in the hideout. Asahi admitted that Lambert's ability was impressive. Suddenly, Sophie appeared and called Asahi a hero. She had come because Thanya had informed her, and she even brought a crowd of people who wanted to witness Asahi's heroic moment. To Asahi, her presence only made everything more complicated. He did not want Maya fighting in front of everyone, which meant he had no choice but to face Lambert himself. Lambert leaped forward and swung his lightning-charged blade, but Asahi narrowly avoided it. Only then did he realize how strong an Ogre-class opponent truly was. Lambert laughed and prepared another attack, but before he could strike, his sword suddenly broke apart for reasons Asahi did not fully understand. Seizing the moment, Asahi stepped forward and landed a clean, decisive strike that ended the fight right away. The crowd cheered and acknowledged his ability. Asahi quietly whispered his thanks for Maya's support. Maya immediately jumped toward him, overwhelmed with joy, and celebrated his success with a warm hug. Asahi tried to free himself, flustered by her enthusiasm. Kilmaria calmly stated that if Lambert had been that easy to defeat, then the other criminal clan was likely to be even less of a challenge. While Quan was dealing with the Overdose clan, she used her ability, which she called Lightning Blossom, unleashing 6 strikes at once that cleared them out instantly. Suddenly, the Overdose boss, Baron Gata Popinski, burst through the ceiling and drew his massive sword toward Quan. Before the blade reached her, it was intercepted by Brigandine Gloria. Gloria introduced herself as a member of the Brigandine family and warned that she would carve Popinski's name onto the Overdose gravestone if necessary. She then delivered an attack she called Graceful Strike, and the Overdosed boss collapsed from a single blow. Seeing this, the other Overdose members fled in fear. Gloria reminded them that faking one's rank was foolish and only weakened the abilities of adventurers overall. Quan thanked Gloria for protecting her. Gloria replied that helping those in service was the duty of a proper master. She then asked Quan who was handling the mission involving the other criminal clan. Quan explained that it had been assigned to a young man named Ikusaba Asahi. Gloria recognized Asahi as the adventurer who had risen in rank faster than she had. Her suspicions grew, sensing something dishonest behind his rapid progress. She wanted to confirm Asahi's real abilities by crossing swords with him. Meanwhile, the villagers were celebrating Asahi for saving their home. The border village had once been under the control of the 3 Augur brothers, and Asahi, together with Maya's support, had freed them. Asahi believed Maya should have received just as warm a welcome, but she refused to join and insisted that Asahi was the true hero of the village. The villagers were incredibly kind to him. The village chief eventually pulled him aside and explained that they had a request. He said another group of ogres had begun targeting their village. He apologized for tricking Asahi into coming, admitting that they should have asked the guild for help but were too poor to do so. Asahi panicked a little, realizing Maya wasn't there to assist him. Suddenly, someone shouted that a large number of monsters had appeared at the village entrance. The chief called out that it was time for the hero to step in, and the villagers cheered for Asahi to fight. The monsters warned their leader that Asahi was the one who had defeated the 3 Augur brothers before and suggested they leave. But the massive ogre, who claimed to be the half-brother of the 3 Augurs, refused and wanted revenge for his younger siblings. He swung his sword at Asahi. Asahi tried to block it, but the force sent him flying into a tree. He immediately sensed the overwhelming difference between his strength and the monsters, but if he didn't fight, the villagers would be in danger. He saw several monsters charging at the villagers, just as Quan arrived and swiftly cut them down. Asahi was stunned to see her. Quan used another technique she called Twisted Moonbeam Blossom, and in an instant all remaining monsters vanished. Gloria then arrived and said she had wanted to witness Asahi's abilities firsthand, but she couldn't stand by when innocent people were at risk. She introduced herself and declared that she would help eliminate the monsters. Asahi still had no idea who Quan and Gloria really were. Gloria rushed forward and struck at the massive ogre. The ogre countered with a heavy swing of his greatsword, but Gloria dodged with ease and leaped upward. She delivered her elegant split-buster technique and cleanly cleaved the giant augur apart. Asahi was amazed by Gloria's power and grew even more curious about who she actually was. Gloria said she had heard many rumors about Asahi, but she believed they were all lies. She suspected he had obtained an augur-class ranking through dishonest means because, from the way he moved in battle, it was obvious he was as harmless as a small animal. She insisted that no one could fool her eyes. Asahi panicked, feeling exposed. Gloria demanded that he confess the truth. At that moment, young Anae threw a small stone toward Gloria. She insisted that Gloria was wrong and claimed Asahi was incredibly strong. Gloria, however, assumed Asahi had missiled the innocent girl and said she found that disappointing. She then challenged Asahi to face her in a sword duel so everyone could see the truth for themselves. Asahi stood up. Gloria smiled, believing he was accepting her challenge. Suddenly, Quan sensed danger and pulled Gloria out of the way. A powerful impact shattered the ground where Gloria had been standing. Gloria stared at the destruction in disbelief, wondering what kind of ability Asahi had been hiding. Asahi had no idea what had just happened. He turned away in embarrassment when he realized Gloria had landed in a posture that made her feel uncomfortable with how she was positioned. He politely averted his gaze out of respect. Gloria became irritated, feeling that the situation had embarrassed her. She told Asahi to meet her in the arena so everyone could witness their duel properly. Asahi froze, realizing this was the kind of event straight out of an RP, and now he had somehow triggered an arena challenge. From a distance, Maya watched quietly, trying to figure out the best way to handle the upcoming duel. The day of the duel finally arrived, and Asahi was still unsure about how he should handle it. Thanya had planned to bring Roy to watch. Sophie hoped Asahi would be able to show Gloria that he was not a weak hero. Kilmaria encouraged him to take pride in facing someone strong, and Siegfried mentioned that Gloria belonged to the Golem class, urging Asahi to give his best. Maya had only recently learned that Gloria was the daughter of a guild supporter and part of the Golem class, ranked just below the God and Dragon classes, making her someone quite formidable. Asahi admitted that he was worried the fight might end the same way it once did for the third ogre stepbrother who crossed paths with someone too strong. He had no idea what to do. Maya tried to calm her younger brother by quietly promising that she would support him with magic as usual. Asahi felt he couldn't rely on her this time because too many people would be watching. Maya told him that he needed her support even more now that he felt cornered, and she reminded him that he had truly grown stronger. She encouraged him to trust himself. Asahi eventually agreed. The duel between Asahi and Gloria soon began, and the arena was already packed with spectators. Thanya, Roy, Sophie, and Siegfried were among them. Both fighters stood in the center of the arena. Gloria signaled that it was time to see Asahi's abilities, while Asahi reassured himself that he would fight using his own strength. Kilmaria worried about whether Asahi would be okay, especially since the girl he was about to face was considerably strong. Maya reassured her that she would step in to help if Asahi ended up in real trouble, which eased Kilmaria's concern. Suddenly Kwan, known to be Gloria's attendant, approached Maya and Kilmaria. Maya noted that Kwan was quite perceptive. Down in the arena, Gloria raised her sword toward Asahi, who quickly dodged her strikes. Attack after attack came his way, and all he could do was avoid them while quietly waiting for the moment Maya might assist him. When Gloria drove her sword into the ground, Asahi stepped back to evade it. Gloria questioned why Asahi still hadn't attempted to strike. Asahi hesitated, unsure whether he could win without Maya's help. When the sound of a powerful attack echoed through the arena, Kilmaria panicked and prepared to rush in to protect Asahi, while Kwan moved to stop her. Kwan froze the moment she sensed Kilmaria's aura. Kilmaria was about to unleash her strength, but Maya stopped her immediately. Kilmaria insisted that Asahi might get hurt, but Maya explained that her little brother often surprised everyone when it mattered most. Gloria eventually used a powerful technique called Graceful Strike, which Asahi narrowly avoided again. The fact that he still wasn't counterattacking frustrated her. Asahi realized he needed to figure out her weakness. When he finally prepared to swing his sword, Gloria instantly retreated as far as she could, still wary of the magic blast she once believed came from Asahi rather than Maya. Seeing her reaction, Asahi tried to take advantage of that opening. Before he could act, Gloria leaped upward and used a technique called Elegant Split Buster to strike from above. Asahi responded by activating his flash skill, producing an intense burst of light that filled the arena. Gloria, who was looking directly at him, lost her balance and dropped her sword. She recognized that Asahi had used a visual disruption technique and insisted internally that she wouldn't lose so easily. Asahi then extended his sword, signaling that the match was over. The crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating his victory. Gloria wondered why Asahi had managed to defeat her without even swinging his sword. Asahi explained that he couldn't bring himself to attack a girl directly. Hearing that, Gloria became flustered, accepted her loss, and left the arena. She even mentioned wanting to meet him again sometime. Asahi simply felt that he had encountered yet another unusual girl. That morning, Kilmaria was still tipsy and tried to get Asahi to drink with her. Asahi explained that he needed to work on a mission. Kilmaria commented that he was always so diligent, yet she kept insisting that he should stay with her for a drink that day. Maya quickly pulled Kilmaria aside, reminding her not to bother Asahi. She described Kilmaria drinking early in the morning as the behavior of someone who lacked direction, though Kilmaria pointed out that she was not human but a demon. Maya then told Kilmaria to stay home and reminded her to limit herself to just one bottle of shake a day. Kilmaria was frustrated. She felt she was being stuck with a boring chore, while Asahi and Maya went out to have fun. She asked to at least be treated like a guest. Asahi and Maya then headed out for their mission. Maya was actually uneasy about leaving someone in that condition alone at home. She encouraged Asahi to finish quickly so they could return soon. Asahi explained that their mission for the day was to find a golden flower deep within the Tolkstay Plains. Suddenly, Sophie's voice echoed as she called out to Asahi, referring to him as a hero. Asahi immediately recognized that cheerful voice that usually signaled trouble. Sophie shouted that Thanya had told her Asahi had accepted a gathering mission, and she begged him to take her along as well. She greeted Maya politely. Asahi had hoped to complete the mission quietly that day. Maya suggested that, if the item was hard to find, it might be better for more people to work together. Asahi reluctantly agreed, and Sophie proudly claimed she was very skilled at finding items. Asahi did not expect that. Sophie demonstrated her ability by praying to the gods and asking them to show the path a hero should take. She dropped her staff, letting it fall in a random direction, which she took as a sign. Asahi was convinced it was pure guesswork. The three of them continued walking until they reached the Twelfth-day Plains. There, they found a fork in the road. Maya asked which path they should take. Sophie offered to use her fortune-telling method again, but Asahi refused. Maya reminded them that the mission had to be completed that same day, so they did not have time to wander around aimlessly. Sophie suggested splitting up, though she clearly wanted to stay with Asahi. Asahi insisted that if they truly had to split, he preferred going alone and told Maya to go with Sophie. He whispered to Maya that staying with Sophie would only lead to trouble. Maya, however, worried about letting Asahi go by himself. She eventually decided to go with Sophie and mentioned she would use the opportunity to share stories from Asahi's past. Asahi shouted back, reminding Maya not to say anything strange. Finally, Asahi was able to walk peacefully on his own. Suddenly, a goblin jumped out and blocked his path. Since only one appeared, Asahi felt confident he could handle it. But another goblin suddenly leaped from behind, ready to attack. As Asahi turned, the goblin was instantly scorched by magic. When the first goblin attempted to attack him, flames erupted and stopped it. Kilmeria then appeared and asked if Asahi was alright. Asahi asked if she had been the one who helped him with magic, surprised to see her there. Kilmeria explained that she had gone for a walk after drinking her shake and had wandered pretty far. Asahi smiled and thanked her. He realized that Maya must have allowed him to go alone because she already knew Kilmeria was in the area. Kilmeria even commented that Maya was becoming less and less like an ordinary person. She mentioned that she had erased her aura and followed Asahi from several kilometers away. Asahi could hardly imagine what life would be like if he lived with someone as hyper-aware as Maya. Kilmeria recalled the first time she met Asahi. She had rescued him when he was being chased by a bear. Asahi had crashed into her and mistaken her for Maya, while Kilmeria had misunderstood the situation and reacted aggressively. Up to that point, Kilmeria's life had only revolved around fighting, but after meeting Asahi and Maya, she had changed a lot. Asahi asked whether someone of her rank in the demon army was allowed to behave so freely. Kilmeria answered that she simply lived however she wanted. Suddenly, they heard someone shouting for help after encountering a monster. Asahi immediately ran toward the source of the cry. When he reached a small village, Asahi was shocked to see many people collapsed on the ground. He tried speaking to one of them, but it was clear the person had already passed away. Asahi saw a monster absorbing the faint glow of human souls. He approached the creature, and the monster seemed surprised that an adventurer had appeared in such a place. The creature summoned skeletons to fight Asahi. It was a necromancer, using magic to control the spirits of the dead. Asahi destroyed the skeletons with his sword. The necromancer attempted to drain Asahi's soul, but Kilmeria arrived just in time to protect him. Her attack sent the monster flying back. The monster realized she was one of the 6 demon generals, known as Kilmeria the Destroyer. Kilmeria asked why the monster was acting recklessly there. The creature explained that it served Woodvoss, one of the 6 demon generals, and introduced itself as the mage Malvacanth. It admitted it had not expected to encounter Kilmeria while attacking a village out of boredom. Asahi wondered how Malvacanth viewed humans. Malvacanth explained that he only sees the souls of insects and admitted that he was no match for Kilmeria. He then attempted to invite Kilmeria to attack the capital and destroy humans together. Asahi protested, believing that Kilmeria would never do something like that. Even though she was sometimes tipsy, lazy, and gloomy, Kilmeria was honest, kind, and had helped him many times. Malvacanth responded with disbelief at Asahi's statement and urged Kilmeria to eliminate Asahi and leave with him, even calling Asahi foolish. Kilmeria became annoyed and told Malvacanth not to speak carelessly to her, calling him foolish as well. She released her attack, Flame Lance, and defeated Malvacanth. The human souls he had taken scattered into the sky and returned to their bodies, and the villagers would regain consciousness in time. Asahi asked if Kilmaria was sure about defeating Maldicanth and wondered if he had been her ally, but Kilmaria stated that she did not know him. She added that when someone insulted her younger brother, she felt obligated as an older sister to act cool. Asahi smiled at her explanation. He then invited Kilmaria to meet Maya and the others. Sophie and Maya ran toward him. Sophie asked who Kilmaria was. Asahi said that Kilmaria was an acquaintance whom Maya had met by chance in the forest. Maya immediately checked whether Asahi was hurt, and Asahi explained that his heavy-drinking older sister figure had been the one who helped him. Asahi then asked if they had obtained the golden flower. Sophie handed it to him. Asahi was surprised that they had managed to find it. Sophie said that they had simply enjoyed a pleasant walk. While Maya and Sophie were walking earlier, Maya told Sophie that young Asahi used to crawl into her blanket whenever he felt scared, and Sophie was shocked to learn that her little hero had once been like that. Sophie had found the golden flower and approached it, unaware that a large rock was about to fall on her, but Maya responded quickly and destroyed the danger before it reached her. That day, Quan tried to wake Gloria in her room. Since Gloria was hard to wake, Quan pushed her gently. Gloria woke in surprise and questioned why Quan woke her in such a way, saying it should have been done with a soft whisper. Quan replied that Gloria had been too relaxed and that they never knew when someone might attack. Quan helped Gloria put on her clothes. Gloria insisted that no one would ambush her and that besides, Quan would always protect her, so she felt safe enough to sleep soundly. Once preparations were done, it was time to proceed with their plan. Gloria insisted on handling the mission herself as best as she could, while Quan was assigned to provide support in case of emergencies. Meanwhile, Asahi returned to the guild. Thanya praised him for defeating the necromancer Maldicanth and continued to call him impressive, even though Kilmaria had truly been the one who defeated the demon forces. Thanya was confident that Asahi would soon advance to the Golem class. Without realizing it, Asahi's reputation continued to rise. Thanya invited him to celebrate his rank progress and asked what he wanted to eat, and Asahi said that he wanted eel. Gloria happened to witness their conversation from behind a window. On his way home, Asahi felt uneasy because his reputation was growing in ways that did not match his true abilities. Gloria deliberately approached him on the road, pretending it was a coincidence, although Asahi sensed that she had been waiting for him. Gloria was happy that Asahi still remembered her, and Asahi said that he could never forget her, although he actually remembered her as someone unusual. Gloria became too nervous in front of him and called for Quan. Quan arrived quickly and was confused because Gloria had previously said she could handle everything alone. Gloria admitted that she felt overwhelmed and asked Quan to stay by her side. They had practiced their approach beforehand, but Gloria's mind went blank the moment she stood before Asahi. Asahi asked what Gloria and Quan were doing there. Quan innocently explained that Gloria had wanted to see Asahi again. Gloria became flustered because Quan revealed it. Asahi asked whether Gloria still suspected him of faking his rank. Quan attempted to clarify the truth, but Gloria stopped her and stated that she still had doubts. She invited Asahi on a mission with them that very day to verify his abilities. Gloria explained that there had been reports of adventurers disappearing in the maze-like forest. She and Quan had accepted the mission to investigate the cause, and Gloria believed Asahi could help while she evaluated his rank. Quan whispered that their original plan had been to invite Asahi for tea together. Gloria mentioned that going out together could be considered a date. Quan wondered how it could be called a date when she was tagging along with them, and added that the forest was far too eerie for something like that. Quan then suggested that Gloria should show her cute side to Asahi, but Gloria had no idea how to do that. Quan advised her to hold Asahi's hand so they wouldn't get lost in the confusing forest. Unfortunately, Gloria grabbed Asahi's hand too tightly, making him uncomfortable. She immediately asked Quan for another idea. Quan told her to pretend she was scared and ask Asahi for a reassuring hug. Gloria followed the suggestion, but once again held on too firmly, and Asahi ended up feeling the strain. Quan then recommended that Gloria brush off a leaf stuck on Asahi's head, but she did it so roughly that she accidentally shoved him to the ground. Asahi assumed he deserved it as a kind of punishment for having faked his ranking. Asahi felt his stamina slipping, but Quan commented that for someone classified as an augur type, that level of impact shouldn't have bothered him at all. Asahi quickly insisted he was fine. He asked Quan if she also struggled keeping up with such an energetic master. Kwon replied that Asahi was basically in the same situation, constantly followed around by Maya and Kilmeria. That surprised Asahi, who hadn't expected Kwon to know about them. Kwon said she had met them once and sensed overwhelming power from them, and she was certain Asahi must have had a tough time keeping up with them. She then added that she had plenty of similar stories herself. Gloria was confused by how smoothly Asahi and Kwon were talking. She grew curious about what they were discussing so naturally. The deeper they went into the forest, the harder it became to see the path ahead. Asahi used his flash skill to light the way. They were all shocked when the light revealed several people trapped inside trees, adventurers who had been reported missing. Suddenly, a trent appeared, startling them. They assumed that the creature was responsible. The tree's branches lashed out toward them, and they dodged quickly. They divided tasks. Kwon would rescue the trapped adventurers while Asahi and Gloria confronted the trent. Asahi asked Gloria to work together with him, which made her nervous since it was her first time teaming up for real. Because she wasn't careful, Gloria was ensnared by the trent's branches. They wrapped tightly around her and lifted her upward. Even while stuck, she worried more about Asahi and Kwon. She grew confused when she noticed they had suddenly frozen in place, staring upward. They had clearly seen something they weren't expecting after her clothing shifted from the movement, leaving everyone embarrassed. Gloria shouted in shock, which caused the branches to loosen and drop her. She quickly recovered, summoned her noble rose blade, and delivered a swift series of strikes, shattering the trent into pieces. With that, the mission for the day was complete, and Asahi prepared to head home. Gloria admitted that the day had been terrifying. Kwon told her that thanks to her, all the adventurers were saved. Gloria said it had been her first date with Asahi, even though Kwon had been there too. Kwon teased her, saying the events of the day would definitely stay in Asahi's memory, especially the part where her outfit had almost caused a misunderstanding. Gloria felt mortified and hoped Asahi would forget that moment entirely. That morning, Asahi was still fast asleep when someone suddenly opened the window in his room, waking him up. He thought Maya had come to wake him, but Kwon was actually standing right in front of his face. Asahi was shocked and wondered how Kwon had entered his room. Maya had apparently allowed her to come in, and Asahi was confused about why Maya could act so casually around him. Kwon explained that she needed Asahi's help. Asahi soon followed her to Gloria's house to help move belongings to a horse-drawn carriage. Once everything was taken out of the house, all that was left was to wait for Gloria to arrive. Asahi felt exhausted. Asahi continued organizing the luggage and picked up a flower vase. Asahi panicked and nearly dropped it, only to realize Kwon had been teasing him. Not long after, Gloria's voice echoed through the area as she announced that she was leaving the house. Several servants tried to convince her to stay, and when they insisted, she forcefully pushed them away without causing serious harm, making it clear she wanted to make her own decisions. Asahi became worried about her walking out like that. Suddenly, a male servant named Sebastian stepped forward, forbidding Gloria from leaving and asking her to stop being reckless. Gloria threatened him for trying to block her path and prepared her sword, but Sebastian stopped it by using a powerful steel thread technique. Asahi was surprised because Sebastian turned out to be a former adventurer. Asahi became excited and thought Sebastian resembled a mid-story boss character with a special weapon. Gloria pulled her sword free with surprising strength that sent Sebastian stumbling into a nearby pond. Asahi was stunned by the power she displayed. Sebastian told Gloria that her father was worried about her and asked her to tone down her adventuring activities and behave more like a noble. Gloria insisted she was tired of flattery, fancy parties, and endless tea gatherings. She left the estate and brought Kwon and Asahi with her. Sebastian begged Kwon to stop her, but Kwon said she only wanted Gloria to live the way she desired. They traveled by carriage, and Asahi asked what was really going on. Gloria felt embarrassed because Asahi had witnessed her family issues. Asahi laughed and told her that he also had problems with his own family. Gloria blamed her father for being overly protective and believed she would be fine living independently without relying on her family name. Asahi remembered how nervous he felt when he was first sent to another world alone, so he wanted to support Gloria however he could. They finally arrived at Gloria's new base, which turned out to be a very luxurious home. It was actually a villa owned by the Brigandine family. Asahi was shocked, realizing that someone with a villa wouldn't normally need his help. Kwon explained that this was simply what happened when a noble decided to run away from home. They began carrying the belongings inside. Asahi struggled while lifting a table. Gloria stepped in to help and mentioned that heavy work always felt easier when a man was around, which made Asahi grateful. Gloria then imagined the scene as if it were a newlywed couple moving into their home, causing her to blush. Her flustered reaction made her lose her grip on the table, accidentally making Asahi stumble and get a small scrape. Asahi looked for something to clean the wound, and instead of letting the scene become awkward or inappropriate. Meanwhile, Sebastian was convinced that Asahi must have tricked Gloria somehow, so he went to seek help from Hildebrandt Tigge from the Dragon class, a male student often nicknamed the Fierce Tiger. Sebastian believed Tigge had enough authority to bring Gloria home and hoped Tigge could also give Asahi a small scare, though in a harmless way. Before they could act, they saw Maya watching them with an unsettling intensity. Tigge panicked, claiming he suddenly felt sick and couldn't get involved. Both he and Sebastian quickly left. Quan realized Maya had been observing Asahi from the top of the villa and began to suspect that Maya was not an ordinary person. Meanwhile, Gloria served tea for Asahi. He kept drinking until his stomach felt bloated. Quan gently reminded Gloria that Asahi had already had too much. Gloria admitted she got nervous being alone with Asahi, which made her keep refilling his cup without thinking. Quan suggested that Gloria try having a conversation with him, but Gloria said she had no idea what to talk about with a man and relied heavily on Quan for guidance. Gloria then asked if Quan had any ideas to keep Asahi around the villa more often. Quan suggested that Gloria could simply invite him to live there as a worker. Gloria immediately imagined a scenario that escalated far beyond that simple idea and flusteredly said such things couldn't happen without many steps. Quan clarified that she only meant hiring him as part of the household staff. Gloria, still imagining things on her own, pictured Asahi wearing a maid outfit, which made her even more embarrassed. Quan then suggested another approach. Gloria could form a clan and use the villa as its base, which would give Asahi a natural reason to visit regularly. Gloria praised Quan's cleverness and immediately asked what Asahi would think about the idea. That afternoon, Asahi went to see Thanya during her lunch break. He apologized for interrupting her meal, but Thanya was actually happy because Asahi came to talk about creating a clan. She believed the guild would be thrilled, since a well-known clan could become the new face of the guild, just like Balmunk once did. She also thought more new adventurers would join the guild, hoping to build a clan of their own someday. As they talked, Siegfried happened to walk by and noticed Asahi, so he came over. Thanya was completely captivated when she saw Siegfried up close for the first time. Siegfried greeted Asahi and jokingly asked if Asahi was on a date. Asahi explained that it wasn't a date, then asked if Siegfried had been shopping. Siegfried said it was more like he was carrying groceries that someone had given him. Then he quickly headed off. Thanya was shocked to see Siegfried in that state. She had always admired him and never expected to witness such an unexpected moment from someone she looked up to. She realized that life really has its ups and downs. Asahi and Thanya continued walking back to the guild. Thanya asked what name Asahi planned to give the clan, but he admitted he hadn't thought of one yet. Thanya reminded him that a proper name was important. She also said there was no downside to creating a clan because the guild provided special missions for clans. Suddenly, Sophie approached them, excitedly saying she had heard the good news. She hoped Asahi would let her join the clan he was forming. Thanya greeted Sophie warmly, and Asahi wondered since when the two of them had become friends. Sophie insisted she would be useful, then moved closer to Asahi to show her status. Asahi was surprised to see that her level was already quite high. Sophie explained that she had been going around healing people, which helped her level up quickly. Asahi realized that even though Sophie was technically a beginner, she was impressive, and her growth chart was even larger than his. Sophie then asked about Asahi's status and wanted to see it. Asahi told her that strength wasn't something meant to be shown off, and both Thanya and Sophie were amazed by his words. They told him he was cool and admirable. Just then, Gloria called out to Asahi. He greeted Gloria and Quan. Gloria looked upset seeing Asahi surrounded by girls, then turned around and walked away immediately. Quan stepped closer to Asahi and asked if he had finally understood that Gloria's personality had always been like that. Quan said Gloria struggled with common sense and wasn't very independent. If Quan didn't take care of her, Gloria would be completely lost. Asahi didn't expect to hear such a thing directly from Gloria's own attendant. Quan also explained that Gloria had no friends or companions she could truly rely on, so if Asahi could become that kind of person for her, Quan would be grateful. Quan encouraged Asahi to seriously consider the matter of forming the clan. Asahi instead commented that Gloria already had someone reliable, Quan. Kwon blushed and added that she would also be happy if Asahi could become someone Gloria could count on. That night, Maya was cooking dinner at home. While waiting for the food to finish, Asahi sat nearby thinking about who should join the clan. Possible members included Maya, himself, Sophie, Gloria, and Kwon. He also wanted to include Kilmaria, but the problem was that Kilmaria was a demon. Even so, Asahi believed the clan would become incredibly strong, everyone except him. He felt uneasy because joining such a powerful group would make it easier for others to notice his weaknesses, which felt like digging his own grave. Maya asked whether he was worried about something. Asahi was surprised she could tell. Maya said she knew because she was his older sister, and she could sense it from his aura. During dinner, Asahi told Maya that he planned to form a clan, and Maya said it was a great idea. But to Asahi, creating a clan also meant creating more problems. Maya disagreed. She believed having more allies was a good thing, especially because Asahi had struggled socially in their previous world and often ended up without friends due to communication issues. Asahi quickly asked Maya not to bring up his introverted past. He said that Maya was the protagonist in this world, so he wanted her to be the one making big decisions. Maya disagreed. She insisted that Asahi was actually the protagonist. She reminded him who protected Kilmaria, who worked hard to support Safi, who crossed swords with Gloria, who earned Gloria's admiration, and who gained Kwon's trust. And all of that was Asahi. She said she only helped a little. Asahi pointed out that his stats were low and his skills weren't impressive yet, but Maya told him that strength wasn't defined by numbers alone. She asked him to believe in himself more, because he wasn't weak anymore, and to her, he was a little brother she was proud of. Asahi was moved to tears hearing those words from Maya. The clan was finally formed, but the situation turned urgent because Asahi had been turned into stone by a basilisk, a lizard-type monster capable of petrifying anyone who locked eyes with it. Maya admitted the incident was her fault for assuming the treasure hunting mission would be easy. Kwon planned to ask Kwon whether he had any items that could cure petrification. Gloria intended to defeat the monster that might drop such an item, and Selfie decided to head to the church to look for solutions. Maya asked Asahi to wait just a little longer. Asahi never expected something like this to happen to him, becoming stone while remaining fully conscious. Maya mentioned that he still looked adorable even as a statue. She leaned in close with a playful expression as if she intended to tease him, making it clear she was only joking. She placed him in her room, hoping staying close might somehow help. At that moment, Asahi felt cold, stiff, and uncomfortable to rest against. Maya gently brushed the surface of his stony body, and even though Asahi felt awkward, he couldn't react at all. In the end, nothing Maya tried made any difference. Kwon returned saying Huan had run out of petrification remedies. Sophie reported that the church couldn't store a statue of a hero, and Gloria explained that her item drops only yielded money. Maya tried thinking of other possibilities and wondered whether warm water might help. She then suggested everyone take a bath together so they could wash the hero's statue and keep him clean. Asahi became increasingly nervous when the group began preparing for the bath. They soaked in a small communal bath and placed Asahi in the center. Their exhaustion faded for a moment, and Gloria mentioned it was her first time experiencing the kind of cramped bath that common folk used. Asahi grew even more anxious being surrounded by the girls in such close quarters. He felt it was a situation that shouldn't normally happen. Maya gently brushed the surface of his stone form again, wondering aloud why even warm water didn't help. Asahi wondered why Maya chose to stand so close to him when he couldn't shut his eyes or turn away, which made the situation even more uncomfortable for him. Gloria promised she would find a way to cure him someday, and both she and Safi moved closer with hopeful expressions. Maya smiled, realizing Asahi had many good friends who cared deeply about him. That night, Kilmaria returned home. After bathing Asahi, Maya began to suspect that the type of cure she needed might be similar to the fairy tale idea of a prince waking a princess from a curse. She leaned in as if considering that option, while Asahi silently panicked and hoped she wouldn't actually follow through. Just when her face drew close, Kilmaria suddenly pushed her aside and questioned what was happening. Maya fell to the floor and, feeling frustrated, asked why Kilmaria had intervened so abruptly. Kilmaria replied that she should instead be asking what Maya had been trying to do. Maya explained that she had only wanted to cure Asahi's petrification with what she believed might work. Kilmaria finally understood that Asahi had been hit by a basilisk's gaze. Maya insisted she wouldn't allow Kilmaria to claim Asahi's first anything for herself. Kilmaria calmly stated that such an approach wouldn't heal him anyway. She then used her total healing magic, and Asahi instantly returned to normal. Maya immediately checked whether he was alright. Asahi said he felt fine and thanked Kilmaria, surprised that she could use restoration magic. He felt relieved to have been saved by her. Kilmaria hugged him gently, saying it must have been difficult staying conscious while trapped in a stone body. Maya only then realized that Asahi had remained aware the whole time. Feeling embarrassed, Asahi mentioned he hadn't meant to see anything he wasn't supposed to during the bath, since he had been unable to look away. Kilmaria had no idea what they were talking about. Just then, Sophie called out from the bath area asking for a towel, and Maya hurried to fetch one. Kilmaria requested a small reward in the form of money to enjoy a drink later. Maya went up to her room afterward, reflecting quietly on everything, especially the overwhelming embarrassment she now felt toward Asahi. That day, the beach was filled with visitors enjoying their time in the sun. A couple was playing near the shoreline when the woman suddenly noticed a shark fin cutting swiftly through the water toward them. She froze in fear and wasn't able to move away before the creature rushed past, causing panic around the area. Meanwhile, Asahi and Maya stopped by the guild to request a mission. The task they received was to hunt sharks. Sharks were known as fierce sea creatures, and Thanya explained that lately there had been several incidents near Lupercalia Beach. Asahi declared that this mission should be handled by the Super Asahi Corps. The name of the party composed of Asahi, Maya, Sophie, Gloria, and Kwan. Maya wondered if sharks were really that dangerous compared to wyverns and augurs. Asahi asked whether Maya still hadn't realized that sharks should never be underestimated. He explained that sharks practically pioneered monster movies and were a serious threat in the water. Recently, he added, sharks had even appeared with tornadoes, grown multiple heads, or turned into mechanical versions of themselves, so they were portrayed as dangerous on land too. Maya was surprised to learn that sharks had evolved that far in popular stories. Asahi noted that since they were in another world, sharks here might be even more formidable. Once they arrived at the beach, Maya pouted when she realized her plan to spend time alone with Asahi had failed. The entire Super Asahi court had shown up, along with Thanya. Maya asked why everyone else had decided to come. Kwan explained that she and Gloria always kept an eye on Asahi, so they had left early to follow him. Meanwhile, Thanya said that Sophie had shown up at the guild early that morning loudly claiming that a hero had gone missing, so Thanya had no choice but to take the day off and bring her to the beach. Asahi apologized for causing trouble. Thanya smiled and said she would watch Asahi's work from up close. Asahi quietly told Maya that since everyone had come along, he probably should have invited Kilmaria too. Maya replied that Kilmaria had been deeply asleep and refused to wake up. Suddenly, Kwan announced that she had both good news and bad news, and she asked which one they wanted first. Asahi requested the bad news. Kwan reported that the mission had already been completed. Gloria and Kwan had taken down all the sharks because the creatures had attacked as soon as they arrived. Asahi sighed, realizing there wouldn't be any work left for him. Thanya commented that the Super Asahi court really was impressive. Asahi then asked about the good news. Kwan cheerfully replied that it meant they could all enjoy a full day at the beach. Everyone shouted excitedly, and Thanya felt grateful she had taken time off. Maya mentioned that taking a break once in a while wasn't a bad idea and that they could relax there. Kwan then pointed out that their clothes weren't suited for the beach, so she had prepared outfits for everyone. Asahi changed into his shorts and admired the ocean view. Sophie suddenly approached him, saying she felt embarrassed because she was wearing a swimsuit she thought Asahi would like. Asahi quickly clarified that he wasn't obsessed with any specific swimsuit style. Thanya wore a swimsuit similar to Sophie's but with a different design. Kwan explained that both swimsuits had been custom-made. Asahi realized once again how wealthy the Brigandine family was. Maya wore something that resembled her usual outfit, but made out of swimsuit material. Kwan added that Maya's swimsuit had also been specially crafted, making Asahi wonder whether the impressive work came from the Brigandine family or Kwan herself. Then Gloria stepped out and showed the swimsuit Kwan had chosen for her. Kwan clapped happily, saying it suited Gloria perfectly. Asahi agreed and Gloria thanked him. Kwan confidently announced that Asahi's gaze was definitely focused on Gloria now. Gloria complimented Kwan's work in coordinating everyone's outfits. Suddenly, Kilmaria arrived to greet them, wearing a swimsuit with a bold design. Her appearance startled everyone. Maya immediately confronted Kilmaria, asking why she had chosen something so attention-grabbing, worrying it might influence Asahi in ways she didn't like. Thanya and Sophie became curious about what exactly the relationship between Asahi and Kilmeria was. Asahi explained that Kilmeria was Maya's friend. Gloria whispered to Kwan that she wasn't sure she could compete with Kilmeria, especially since Kilmeria could withstand Maya's reactions easily, which meant she clearly wasn't an ordinary person. Kwan realized the same thing and said they would have to switch to Plan B, changing all the swimsuits to simpler bikini styles. Kilmeria changed as well, but Asahi thought her new outfit still felt a bit too striking for his comfort. They got ready to start the game, which Gloria called a competition to win Asahi's favor. She explained that there would be 3 summer beach events. Kwan added that whoever won would be allowed to ask Asahi to do one thing for them. The girls immediately became interested, while Asahi looked uneasy since no one had asked for his opinion. Gloria imagined it as her chance to spend a calm night on the beach alone with Asahi. Sophie pictured winning so she could make a full artistic mold of Asahi and create statues to display around the entire town. Asahi was certain that every girl was thinking of something awkward if they became the winner. Still, the games were about to begin. The first event was beach volleyball. Everyone swung at the volleyball with full excitement, and eventually Maya and Kilmeria's team won the match. The second event was a crawling race to grab a flag, and Thanya won it with ease. The last event was hitting a watermelon while blindfolded. When it was Sophie's turn, she accidentally struck a very sensitive spot near Asahi, causing the group to pause in shock. To keep things safe and appropriate, the group simply treated it as a clumsy mistake and moved on. They wrapped up the sports competition by sharing watermelon together. Kwan tallied all the points and announced that the final winner was Maya. Maya asked Asahi to apply sunscreen on her back. Asahi commented that Maya really was good at everything. Maya answered that since the reward involved Asahi, she had to give it her all. Kilmeria also asked Asahi to put sunscreen on her back, but Maya told her to do it herself. Kilmeria insisted that Maya was monopolizing Asahi. Before their bickering continued, something happened on the beach. The group rushed over and found Sophie and Thanya surrounded by several sharks circling them. The shark-like monsters demanded to know if they were the ones who had defeated their relatives earlier. Gloria explained that those sharks had attacked them first, so they had defended themselves. The monsters had come seeking revenge. There were 10 of them. They were known as the 10 Sea Kings. The battle began. Maya faced Fire Shark using her Ice Storm powers, while Kilmeria fought Stone Shark with her Crimson Blaze abilities. Phantom Shark moved toward Asahi, who panicked, unsure how to respond. Thankfully, he quickly used his flash skill, blinding Phantom Shark long enough for the creature to dissolve into harmless light. Everyone praised his quick thinking. Gloria and Kwan then stepped forward to take on the remaining sharks. Kwan used her 6-strike lightning blossom technique, while Gloria's graceful strike created a huge whirlpool in the ocean that swept several sharks away. Unexpectedly, Red Orca appeared right behind Asahi and Maya. Red Orca attempted to attack Maya, but Asahi noticed it and moved to shield her. Unfortunately, the force of the attack sent Asahi into the whirlpool, pulling him underwater. Maya instantly dove in after him. Later that afternoon, Asahi woke up from unconsciousness and found himself lying on a beach. He didn't know where he was, but Maya was overjoyed that her younger brother had woken up, hugging him tightly. She said she had been terrified of losing him again, to the point where if Asahi had been sent to another world once more, she would have followed him without hesitation. Asahi thanked her and asked where the others were. Maya explained that when she tried to save him from drowning, she was pulled into the whirlpool as well. While Asahi slept, she explored the area and realized that the island they had washed up on seemed uninhabited. Maya felt certain that Kilmeria would sense their location and find them eventually. Asahi described it as a stranded island adventure, thinking it might actually turn into something exciting. He tried to get up in a hurry, but Maya asked him to rest longer. Asahi said he wanted to prepare things before evening came. She reminded him not to push himself too hard. He replied that what they needed most were water, food, and shelter, remembering their family camping trips. Maya laughed, saying those were from when Asahi was still small, gentle, and cute. They walked deeper into the island and found a river. They drank straight from the flowing water. Maya used her power to cut trees and chop them into pieces for building a shelter. After that, they went fishing together. Asahi caught one fish, while Maya pulled up a massive one with ease. Asahi then used his stone-throwing skill to hunt a bird flying overhead. He successfully caught it, and because of that, his stone-throwing skill leveled up. Long story short, their house was finally finished, and Maya cooked their catch for dinner. After enjoying the meal, they relaxed on the beach while watching the late afternoon sun. Asahi mentioned that the fish tasted amazing, and Maya said the bird he caught was great too. Asahi insisted the food was delicious because of Maya's excellent cooking skills, and Maya said she knew his tastes very well. Asahi admitted that lately things had felt pretty lively with the Asahi supercourts around, but during their early days in the other world, it had been just the two of them. Maya said she had always wished for more moments alone with him. Asahi asked whether Maya ever felt uncomfortable spending time with Kilmeria and the rest of the supercourt. He also asked how she felt when she first arrived in the new world. Maya said she had been happy every single day because she could always see Asahi, and because he always seemed cheerful. Asahi admitted that honestly he had been scared and confused in the beginning, and he was grateful that Maya had stayed by his side. He said he was the type who gave up easily and didn't even have a cheat skill. Even though he had once imagined receiving a powerful ability, he felt a little embarrassed saying it, and he thanked Maya again. Asahi believed there would be plenty of good moments ahead, even if challenges also came their way, and he invited Maya to face everything together with their friends. Asahi said he was starting to feel a little cold. Maya immediately hugged him and suggested they rest so they could stay warm. Suddenly, a shark monster surfaced, the great king shark, ruler of the sea and one of the 10 ocean kings. Just as Maya was ready to confront it, Kilmeria appeared and launched an attack. Gloria followed with the power of elegant split buster, and Quan used the tangled moonlight bloom technique to blow the creature apart. Sophie cast a protection skill to shield everyone. Asahi asked why all of them were there. Gloria, still in the middle of fighting, said they couldn't just leave Asahi and Maya alone if trouble showed up. Maya responded that it wasn't trouble at all, because according to the beach sports competition agreement, the winner earned a day with Asahi on a secluded island. Asahi had no idea what she was talking about. Maya explained that she had won the competition to claim time with Asahi, and therefore the day was rightfully hers. Asahi wondered if the others had overheard his earlier conversation with Maya. Sophie, Thanya, Gloria, and Quan reenacted the moment between Maya and Asahi, including a part that suggested a romantic scene, which made him flustered. Asahi clarified that nothing like that had actually happened. Instead of believing him, they asked him to explain the situation in detail. Maya told Asahi not to be shy and said that strong bonds between siblings were completely normal, a line that Asahi wasn't sure how to respond to, given how dramatic she made it sound. Suddenly, the great king shark washed ashore in front of them. Asahi urged everyone to focus on dealing with the threat. The great king shark said it wanted revenge and summoned the 10 ocean kings. Asahi was surprised that the creatures had recovered so quickly. All the shark monsters merged their bodies and formed a massive shark-shaped robot called Super Great King Shark Mark II. Everyone was shocked, and Asahi grew terrified at the idea of getting hit by something so huge. Maya approached the towering figure and unleashed a divine-inspired power strong enough to part the sea. Even Kilmeria was stunned and called Maya a monster out of sheer disbelief at her overwhelming strength. Maya, however, was upset because the robot had interrupted her precious time with Asahi, and she declared that she would no longer tolerate the interference. She released an Omega-level fire attack toward the massive machine, and it disappeared in a huge explosion. Everyone stood in awe of Maya's strength. She scolded Kilmeria for interfering earlier, saying the situation hadn't been a problem for her. Gloria admired Maya and said she could be used as a reference for magical prowess. Quan and Sophie agreed that Maya could be intimidating. Asahi said the whole situation felt a bit gloomy, but Thanya pointed out that everyone actually seemed to be enjoying themselves. That day, Asahi felt bored because the rain just would not stop. Maya invited him to go for a walk while sharing an umbrella, while Kilmeria suggested they should stay home and warm up with some sake. Maya kept trying to convince Asahi to go out with her, imagining their shoulders brushing under the umbrella and how close they would end up standing. Kilmeria refused to lose to her and described how people often shared quiet, meaningful moments when slightly tipsy while listening to the rain. Maya and Kilmeria leaned in as if they were about to kiss Asahi, but the moment he noticed what was happening, he used his escape skill to get out of there. Meanwhile, far above the city, a young witch lived alone in her tower. After a while, the rain finally stopped. Asahi was excited to see the clear sky. When they opened the door, They were shocked to see the front of their house completely flooded. They assumed the river must have overflowed. As Asahi stepped into the water, something suddenly yanked his leg and hurled him upward. Maya quickly used her wind-cutting ability, letting Asahi break free and fall back into the water. But then the water rose again and attacked him. A clump of it wrapped around his head and made it hard for him to breathe. Maya and Kilmaria rushed in to help, but they immediately started arguing over who would rescue him first. Asahi used his escape skill again, pulling himself out of the water's grip. He told them that the water was actually slime. By then, slime had already spread throughout the entire city. Across town, several residents were already trapped by slime clusters. Huan called out to everyone, urging them to evacuate to higher ground near the noble district. People hurried to follow his instructions. While running to check the situation, Asahi spotted Thanya caught in a slime clump and rescued her. Thanya thanked him and almost hugged him, but Asahi gently stopped her because she was still covered in slime residue that he really did not want on himself. Maya then asked how much the guild knew about the situation. Thanya explained that their district was experiencing the worst flooding. Asahi corrected her, reminding her that it was not water at all, but slime. Thanya said she had recently read an old book from the Caesarian Kingdom's archives, which described a similar past disaster called the Great Slime Flood, caused by a legendary slime that grew by absorbing water. Maya guessed the slime had expanded because of the heavy rain, and Kilmaria suspected it would not move so deliberately unless someone was controlling it. Asahi realized there must be a mastermind behind the chaos. Maya said that if she found the slime or whoever controlled it, she would stop them immediately. Maya and Kilmaria became eager to track down whoever was responsible. Asahi told Thanya to evacuate right away, assuring her that he would help the rest of the townspeople. Thanya said she could not leave yet because she still had not found Roy. Roy had gone out earlier that morning and had not returned. Asahi promised he would help find him. Thanya trusted him and headed toward the evacuation area. Asahi then caught up with Maya and Kilmaria and suggested that they split up. Maya agreed and was ready to wipe out the slime with her lightning, but Asahi stopped her, saying that could endanger everyone in the city. Kilmaria then offered to burn all the slime with her fire magic, but Asahi pointed out that this could turn the entire city into a sea of flames. He asked them both to stay alert and hold back until things calmed down. They followed his instructions, and Asahi immediately took off. Still, Maya and Kilmaria planned to deal with the mastermind once they found them. Thanya helped Huan as he guided people to the evacuation zone. People looked up in confusion when a strange symbol appeared in the sky. It turned out to be a portal releasing monsters. Bat-like creatures flew out and attacked people. Thanya and Huan were nearly overwhelmed, but Gordon arrived and protected them with his sword. Mimosa burned several of the monsters with her scarlet fang flame, and Shulain fired an arrow straight into the portal, destroying it. Everyone thanked the Ballman clan for stepping in. The slime flood continued to spread, and soon new portals appeared, releasing different types of monsters into the city. Those portals were being controlled by a mage named Goraligula, who watched everything from the top of a tower. Roy was with his friend, telling him that the monsters seemed to be gone for the moment. His friend looked hurt and exhausted. Roy said he never expected monsters to appear in their town. His friend urged him to head to higher ground, but Roy reminded him not to push himself too hard because of his injuries. Roy tried to steady his nerves, wanting to keep going. Then Asahi found them, relieved that Roy was safe. Asahi helped immediately, offering to carry Roy's injured friend and asking Roy to guide him toward the higher ground. As they started moving, a massive slime cluster rose up in the shape of a dragon and prepared to attack them. Asahi urged them to hide, but another slime dragon appeared in front of them as well. They had nowhere to run, until Delin suddenly arrived and struck the slime with his axe. Asahi recognized him instantly. Delin told Asahi he should not be wandering around with injured kids. According to him, when slimes were appearing in such huge numbers, it was actually the perfect opportunity to gain a lot of experience. Suddenly, another slime dragon tried to attack them from behind. Fortunately, Sigrid reacted quickly by leaping forward and drawing his sword. With the strength of his astral blade, he managed to defeat the creature. Asahi praised him, saying that even though Sigrid was already experienced and a bit older, he was still impressive. Not long after the slime dragon reappeared, it turned out that the creature would keep regenerating as long as its core remained intact. Sigrid told Asahi to take the children to the cathedral, and afterward he asked Asahi to search for the slime's core. Asahi hesitated for a moment, worried about Sigrid, but Sigrid reassured him that he could handle the creature. Asahi quickly ran toward the cathedral. Before long, several slime dragons appeared in front of Sigrid, and he worked together with Delin to take care of them. Meanwhile, Thanya and the townspeople had arrived in front of a noble family's residence. Thanya tried knocking on the door, but no one responded. Mimosa suspected that the nobles had shut themselves inside to avoid getting involved, or possibly because they wanted to avoid responsibility while the townspeople faced the danger outside. Thanya didn't expect that and began worrying about Roy and Asahi. Roy and Asahi continued running toward the cathedral, and Roy told him they were close. Thanya and the others hurried toward the Brigandine family's estate. Suddenly, a slime nearly hit Thanya, but Mimosa quickly destroyed it. The slime level in the streets kept rising, and it needed to be handled immediately. At the same time, Roy and Asahi finally reached the cathedral. Roy and his team expressed their gratitude to Asahi. Inside, Sophie was using her healing magic non-stop to treat the injured. She was so exhausted that someone gently reminded her not to overwork herself, as it could cause her to collapse. Sophie kept searching for people who still needed help. When Asahi called out to her, and she approached him, she nearly lost her balance from exhaustion. Sophie immediately healed Roy's friend. Suddenly, Asahi and Sophie spotted members of the Black Brigade clan. One of them was groaning in pain and unable to walk, and Sophie quickly treated him. Instead of thanking her, he questioned whether she expected them to owe her something.